Yes.
Okay, that's how I usually see things in perspective, with that perspective. Okay, if you want to call them in, I can swear them in and,
Hey, y'all, come on in. Y'all coming in.
the 16-year-old's not coming in, correct?
Not unless Your Honor says,
No.
but I think
I'd
there's
like to leave
plenty
him
of
out for right now and make that decision later, but let me see what I've got so far.
Okay.
If I had to have Miss Jennifer Freeman, Miss Pauline Lindsay closer to the camera so I can see both of you at the same time. Can you scoot over? There you go. I think I have on my left-hand side is Miss Jennifer Freeman. Are you the one in the black blouse?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and denounce yourself with your full legal name, ma'am.
Jennifer Elaine Freeman.
God, I'm not sure I heard that. Jennifer Freeman?
Jennifer Elaine Freeman.
Oh, Elaine Freeman. That's what I missed. Okay. And then on next to you is the paternal grandmother of the child, Pauline Lindsay. Did I get that right? And would you announce your name, ma'am?
My name is Pauline Lindsay,
And you're Quentin Smith's father?
mother.
Excuse me, mother. I know that. I'm sorry.
Hey.
Quentin Smith's mother. Okay. Now, if both of you would raise your right hands for me, I need to swear you in. Do each of you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, Miss Freeman?
Yes, I do.
And Miss Lindsay?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. I just brought you in because I wanted to swear you in and put you under something that's called the rule, which means that if anybody's going to call witnesses in a case, they need to be sworn in. And then when they're excused, they have the instructions that you cannot talk to each other or anybody else on this case except the lawyers involved. The only lawyer involved is Miss Coates, and she's a prosecutor for the state. She's here busy with me, so you can't talk to her. And we're not even in a courtroom anyway, so you're not close to her, or you can do that on the side. So you're going to be out in the hallway or waiting your turn. You cannot talk to each other about this case while it's going on. You cannot log in and try to listen. You cannot try to listen through the door. You can't do any of that stuff. If I get wind that you've somehow been made aware of testimony here, I can exclude you as a witness for violating the rules, because I want your testimony fresh and independent of whatever you've heard. I don't want you repeating what somebody else said because that's what you think you're supposed to do or want to do to help their case. So that's not allowed. So any questions, Ms. Freeman, about any of the instructions?
No, ma'am.
And Ms. Lindsay, same question?
No, Your Honor.
And I assume you can wait, maybe it could be 30, 40, an hour or two before we call you, but it's possible you have the time to do that today, Ms. Freeman?
Yes, I do.
And Ms. Lindsay?
Yes.
Okay, then you've been placed under the rule. I need you to leave the room and not be in the room with Mr. Smith. And so you'll be called later, and I guess he'll come get you one at a time when we need you. Don't talk to each other about this. Thank you. You're excused.
Your Honor.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
I would actually like to call Miss. I would actually like to start with the witnesses first. That way we can free them.
Oh,
I'll
I'm
start
okay with that. Which
I'll
one did you want to start with?
The grandmother, Miss Lindsay.
Okay, if you want to stay in the seat, Ms. Lindsay, we'll excuse Ms. Smith. They're both under oath today already. And Mr.
Yeah, they're going to the other room now.
Okay. Mr. Smith, you can come back and be a part on the screen since you're
Mr.
party.
Smith, you can come back.
Oh,
You're
I can
part-
I don't guess I'm a pro se, right?
Right.
You're representing yourself. You need to be a part of these proceedings so you can hear the testimony. If you want to just sit down behind there, that's fine. Make sure you can hear everything and don't talk. It's not your turn.
Yes, ma'am.
Nobody else is in the room with you except your mother, Mr. Smith?
No one. I've made them close the doors.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ms. Coates, you called Ms. Lindsay. You may proceed.
All right. Good afternoon, Miss Lindsay.
Hello.
All right. So you are the grandmother for Miss Kaylee Smith and Mr. Smith's son, Damian Smith. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. And how old are your two grandchildren?
I have one 16-year-old grandson and one 4-year-old granddaughter.
And so where is your granddaughter Kaylee Smith living at?
In the home with me and her daddy.
So you and Mr. Smith live together in that home?
Yes.
And is Kaylee going to school yet?
No, she starts next year.
And so who watches Kaylee while Mr. Smith is working?
Myself and Jennifer Freeman.
So how long has Kaylee been living with Mr. Smith?
4 years.
And was Miss Pierce ever living in that home as well?
Yes, she was.
And how long was she living there?
A period of a little over 2 years.
Do you know when about she left the home?
Sometime in February of 22.
Was that voluntary? Did Mr. Smith have her removed?
Excuse me, I believe that's February of 23. March of 23.
I'm sorry. I got
Okay,
it
just
wrong.
I heard that, Mr. Smith. However, guess what? You're not the witness. Your mother is. Even if she's wrong, you can correct her when you come back. I don't want you correcting her during her testimony. That's not.
I'm terribly sorry, ma'am. It was just okay.
I understand. That's the compulsion, and because she's right there, and you can tell her, whisper it. That's what you want to do. If we were in a courtroom, one of you would be at the witness stand, one of you would be sitting at counsel table, so it wouldn't be allowed. So I'm trying to keep the same decorum.
Yes, ma'am. I'm terribly sorry.
Okay, but obviously it makes a difference how long. However, you want to re-ask the question, or Ms. Coates, or keep going?
Okay, Miss Lindsay, when did Miss Pierce move out that you remember?
In February of 22.
Okay, but it's possible she moved out later.
Yeah, a little later, maybe in March.
So February 22 to October of 24. That's a little over 2 years. Is that what you're saying, ma'am?
Right.
And you heard your son interrupt and say it was last year, 2023. That did not change your testimony.
Okay.
No, I'm so sorry.
Okay,
Or
Miss
can
Lindsay,
you-
if you're not entirely sure, you can also say you're not entirely sure.
I'm not entirely sure about the year.
No, I'm so sorry.
Are you
Okay,
wrong?
Mr.
Well, let me just clear it up. Are you wrong, Mr. Smith? Or-
Yes, I am wrong. I am totally wrong. My mom, who is 78 years old with stage 4 cancer, has got a better memory than I do. I am so wrong.
So it is 2 years, not a year and.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
I'm just
Okay.
a little nervous. This is my daughter we're talking about. I love her, So
Well, no, I get it, but that's why you're not supposed to interrupt, and maybe it'll come to you later, or you can say something different on the stand.
don't laugh.
Okay.
Don't laugh.
We've established that, and Ms. Pierce will probably testify the same, February or March of 2022, 2 years, not 1 year. Okay.
Okay, so going on. So Miss Lindsay, what I previously asked, did she leave on her own accord, or was there some reason she moved out and ended things with Mr. Smith?
Well, I had been trying to get her to leave for quite some time, but however, the day that she decided to walk off, she left on her own accord. She packed a bag and she walked off, and she left her 2 daughters with us, which one of them was of no blood relation at all. And here's a fun fact. She had to come back to get that daughter with a police escort. She brought a police escort to get that daughter that 2 days later. So if she didn't walk off and leave her kids, why did she have to come back at all?
And so, okay, so she came back a few days later with some law enforcement to get her other child that doesn't belong to Mr. Smith.
Right.
And what about Kaylee? Did she try to get her back that day as well?
She wanted to take her, but we told her that her dad had just as much right to her as what she did, and that she would have to take him to court if she wanted to get Kaylee. However, there's been other issues that have come up since then with the molestation.
So since then, Kaylee has been with Mr. Smith, correct?
Yes, correct.
Has she tried to come back after that to get Kaylee?
No, she did make 2. She brought her one bunch of gifts for her birthday and one for Halloween. But after that, after this Halloween 2 years ago, nothing. We've seen nothing of her. We've heard nothing from her
How long have you known Miss Pierce?
for about 4.5 years.
And during your time of knowing her, does she have any substance or alcohol problems?
Very much.
Okay, can you explain a little bit about that?
Well, I know she does methamphetamines. I know she does marijuana. I know that she'll take almost anything that if you got it and give it to her, she'll take it.
Have you seen her do any of these drugs, such as the methamphetamine or the marijuana?
Yes, I have.
And
She has
if
also done this in front of her kids. All of
Did
her
she-
kids,
all of them, including Kaylee?
including Kaylee, including her other children from Austin.
Do you know how many other children she has that aren't Mr. Smith's?
She has 3. She has 2 girls and 1 boy.
And was this one of the reasons why you wanted her removed from the home, because she was doing drugs?
Well, that was one of the reasons. The other reason it came to my notice that she was molesting my 14-year-old grandson. And I had made a CPS call. I had made a police report. And I even put up eviction notices. And I still couldn't get her out. Mainly because of the granddaughter. I didn't want to put her out.
Now, when did this alleged assault happen? Or that you started noticing maybe
Around September the 5th or 4th, about the 9th. September the 9th is when I made a police report.
What year was this?
22. I'm not sure about the year.
Okay. And what raised your concerns?
Their odd behavior toward each other and the way that and you have to also understand that I was in the hospital for over a month. So that gave them ample time it gave her ample time to groom him.
What kind of odd behaviors?
Well, just being closer to each other than normal, laying in the same bed together, supposedly watching a movie. One night I got up in the middle of the night and went to his room, and they had made a dummy out of pillows in his bed, but he was actually in her bedroom in her bed. So that's whenever I called him on it. And
did Miss Pierce ever eventually admit to having inappropriate relationships with?
No, she has never admitted it. Not to me, anyway. I'm sorry.
Is there any pending case right now against Miss Pierce for that?
Yes, there is.
Has she been charged, or only a police report filed?
Only a police report filed, as far as my knowledge goes.
Has Damien ever confirmed the assault?
Yes. He's made the legal outcry to CPS.
All right. And then has Miss Pierce ever abused Kaylee?
In my determination, yes.
Has she ever done this in front of you?
She did this in front of me whenever Kaylee was in the bathtub one time. She spanked her on her bottom until it was whelped up and red. I took pictures of that.
Did something happen for Miss Pierce to discipline the child, or did she just hit her for no reason?
Well, there again, in my estimation, for no reason. I mean, what can a 2-year-old be doing that would cause her to get that kind of a spanking? I mean, she's in the bathtub taking a bath, playing in the water.
So Kaylee was 2 at the time?
Yes.
All right. And then, Judge, that is, though Miss Lindsay is referring to the photos once again that I've sent to you for only in-camera review, Your Honor.
Okay, I don't have to do that right now, but I will consider that with when father's testifying.
Yes. And then, Miss.
Lastly, if you just prove up that she did take the photos and make a foundation for that.
Yes. So, Miss Lindsay, you stated you did take those photos?
Yes, I did.
And you showed the photos to Mr. Smith?
Yes.
And then Mr. Smith turned that over to our office and then to any other government entities?
Yes.
And when was that photo, when were those photos taken?
Well, if she was about 2 years old, so I'm going to say roughly just before Miss Pierce left.
Which was in either February or March?
Yeah.
And that was about 4 photos?
Yes.
And those photos have not been altered?
No, ma'am.
Was anyone else in there in that bathroom with you when you took those photos?
No, ma'am.
And then did Miss Pierce ever explain what happened? Why she spanked her? Did she ever deny
No,
or
she
anything?
never explained anything to me about, what her disciplinary actions. We mostly agreed on most things, but I didn't ever agree on extensive.
And then after those photos were taken, did Mr. Smith show them to Miss Pierce? Do you know?
I'm not aware of that.
Mm-hmm. And then has there been any more incidents after that?
Well, no.
Right. Does Miss Pierce try to get in contact with either you, Mr. Smith, or Miss Freeman?
Nope.
All right. And then, to your knowledge, was CPS ever involved?
Oh, yes.
And were they involved just for Damien or Kaylee as well?
Kaylee as well.
And to your knowledge, there was no order done by CPS?
Order for?
Indicating that Miss Pierce should not be the custodial parent and have no visits?
Oh, yes. They expressed that in depth.
Did they express it in a finding or an order or like a suggestion?
In their findings.
But that CPS never went to court though, right?
No, we have not been to court yet.
Okay. And so is the case still open? Do you know with CPS?
On our end, no.
All right. And then with regards to your son, are you aware that he has some charges against him currently?
Oh, yes, I am.
And do you know what they're for?
Well, there is an allegation of abuse
Against who?
against Tracy.
And has Mr. Smith gone to court for that or anything?
No, it's pending.
And the abuse that's being alleged, were you there at the time?
I was.
And do you know what happened? Can you tell us what was going on?
Well, they were, in an altercation. They were having words over some of the issues of the sexual abuse. Whenever I came into the room, she was slapping at him, and he was trying to control her slaps and hits by holding her arms right around the wrists. There was no hitting on his part. There was no abuse on his part. They had it set up where if he got what they thought was abusive, that they would call her ex-husband. He would call in the police on a wellness check. So they did that, which was premeditated, preordained. And the police got here and she told them everything was okay, so they left. And they called again for a second wellness check. So when they come back, they wanted her to go outside and give them a statement. But what happened that day was just a bogus allegation. She was trying to get him arrested so that she could do what she wanted to do, which was take drugs and have this 14, 16-year-old boy to play with. Because I do have stage 4 cancer, and I don't know when that's going to expire, but she was looking that I would die at any time, and so she would, be free to do what she wanted to do. She could have all the meth she wanted to do. He would be in prison. I would be dead.
Miss Lindsay, since you spend a lot of time with Kaylee, does she talk about her mother? Does she ask about her mother?
No, not anymore. She
Does
did. She did write it first, but not anymore. She doesn't.
Do you think if Kaylee was to spend some time with Miss Pierce, that it would upset Kaylee in such a way that visits would not be good at all?
I think it would greatly upset Kaylee because she is attached to her daddy at the hip. That's her dada. And even whenever he comes home from work, Dada's home, Dada's home. I think it would be very detrimental to the child.
And again, since you spend more time with her, does she remember any abuse, or does she get afraid when you mention Miss Pierce or anything like that?
She gets a little bit afraid because her eyes get dilated, and she'll come ask me, "Are they talking about me, Grandma?" So she gets a little bit upset whenever you talk about her or her mom, but not in a good way.
And if Miss Pierce were to have supervised visits, you would not be willing to supervise those, is that correct?
Ma'am, I have had other experiences. I've had to raise a granddaughter because my daughter passed away. And I raised her from 12 years old on into womanhood. So I've dealt with all of this other stuff before. And some things you just have to know that child well enough to know what's good for them and what's not. And it's just like after her mother died, for a while, it was pretty hurtful. But then you get a little bit adjusted to it and you go on with life. And I think that's what Kaylee needs. I think she needs to be allowed to go on with her life, not interfered with by this woman who cannot seem to stay off drugs.
And then, Miss,
for the record, if and I don't know if I can do this or not, but I would be willing to take Kaylee if I need to. Like I said, I've already raised one.
You'd be willing to supervise the visits?
No, not supervise the visits. I would be willing to take Kaylee in my home, as far as custodial or whatever, if need be, if only need be.
Okay. And the reason you don't want to supervise the visits is because you have issues with Miss Pierce. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I have big issues with Miss Pierce.
And do you have safety concerns that if you were alone with Miss Pierce, she may harm you?
Oh, yeah.
And again,
I really think she tried to poison me at one time whenever they were doing all this, because she had an open bag of insecticide in her bedroom, hid in her suitcase, and a lot of my food tasted funny and I wouldn't eat. And I often wondered if she put some of that in my food.
All right, Miss Lindsay, I appreciate your testimony,
Yes, ma'am.
and I do not have any questions for you at this time, or
Okay.
any more questions.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Hold on a minute. Just one follow-up on the photo, the child, the picture of the child. Do you think it's a fair and accurate depiction of the child at the time of that it was taken?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And you know it was a child because you were there, it was your granddaughter, your baby,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. You're still a witness, however, you're subject to cross-examination by either parent, Ms. Pierce or Mr. Smith. So let me start with Ms. Pierce. Do you have any questions, cross-examination questions for Ms. Smith before I release her? Ms. Pierce, as acting as your own lawyer, you get to do that. Ms. Pierce, you can unmute and answer my question.
Excuse me, can you repeat that, ma'am?
Yes, both you and Mr. Smith are here as parties. However, you're acting as your own lawyers because you didn't hire lawyers to bring to court. So you are allowed certain rights and duties here. So as part of that, there's a witness that's been called, and parties have the right to cross-examine witnesses. So you have any cross-examination questions for Ms. Lindsay before I let her go? And I guess I have known to help people because otherwise you don't know what to do, but
No, I don't.
Isn't
can I
it
make
true
comment?
that if you have something you wanted to bring out or ask, isn't it true that you're allowed to do that? So do you have any cross-examination questions?
Isn't it true, Pauline Lindsay, that you were completely bold-faced lying about 90% of this? That is Nevaeh's butt that was spanked.
No, it was not Nevaeh.
Yes, and it was.
No, it was not, because Nevaeh was never that stocky. I know.
You're talking about when she had bruises on her ass from Quentin spanking
No.
her when the kids were. Mom,
No.
just
Hold on, Ms. Pierce. You can ask a question, then you gotta let her answer instead of just argue with her. So ask a
No,
question
I don't
and
have
then
any
stop and
questions
let
for
her
her
answer.
because Sorry to interrupt you, Your Honor.
Okay,
She's
now what?
bold-faced lying. I have no more questions for her.
You get to make argument later about witness testimony. Right now, you don't have any more questions, I heard you say, correct?
Correct. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Smith, do you have any questions for your mother?
Your Honor, no,
No?
no.
Well, Miss Lindsay, do you know the age difference between Nevaeh, which I assume is the other daughter, and then this child?
Let me think a minute. There's about a 2-year difference.
Okay, and you're not the one who took the picture, or were you the one with the camera with the picture of that?
I am the one that took the picture, and like I told her, you know, if you look at her leg, Nevaeh had a skinnier leg than what's in that picture. That picture shows a little stockier leg and a little shorter leg, and that comes from a 2-year-old, not a 4-year-old.
Okay. Did that raise any cross-exam questions, Ms. Pierce?
No questions for her, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Smith, you're released. You're no longer under the rule, but don't talk to Ms. Freeman about the case, okay?
All right.
And you're released, so now you can do whatever you want, log into YouTube and watch or sit in the corner or whatever to observe, but you would not be able to testify again if I allow that. You understand that? Because you're being released. And Mr. Smith, are you okay with that?
I'm absolutely okay with that.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. You're released and excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next.
And then the state's
All I ask,
Friedman.
Okay. Now I need Jennifer Freeman to be brought in, Mr. Smith.
yeah, Miss Freeman? It's kind of funny we call you Miss Freeman now. Okay.
Okay, Ms. Jennifer Freeman?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you've been called to testify. Ms. Coates will be cross-examining you.
Miss Freeman, how long have you known Mr. Smith?
Since April of 2022.
Were you two just friends, or were you all in a relationship at that time?
In a relationship.
And during that time, was Miss Pierce still in the home?
Yes, she was.
Do you remember when she left the home?
I believe it was the end of February, the beginning of March 2023.
23?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Your Honor, will you please excuse me from the room for a second? I have to go urinate. Just
Well, you need to be a party to all this, so I'll take a 5-minute break or a 2-minute break, however long it takes for you to.
2 minutes. Just 2 minutes. I'm so sorry.
I'm gonna stop my video and audio. Everything's still running, the recordings. So just be mindful of that. Don't talk, any of you.
I've returned. Sorry.
That's okay, Mr. Smith. Just 1 minute.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay. All right. So, Miss Freeman, you believe it was in 2023 is when she left, or did she leave earlier than that?
I believe it was 2023.
Move into the home.
I'm sorry, you kind of glitched.
Have you moved into the home with Mr. Smith?
Yes, I have.
When did you move in?
I moved into the red house next door, probably want to say around May of 2022.
Okay. So, can you explain, I guess, the situation of the home then? So in May 2022, you moved in and she was still in that home?
She was in the main house. We have, there's a main house here, and then there's a smaller red house next door, all on the same property. And I was in the little red house. She had, Mr. Smith had said that she had stopped having sex with him several months before we met, and that there really wasn't a relationship there anymore. He at that time even told me that he thought that she was molesting his son. Me just beginning to know him, I was like, she might be a lot of things, but I can't see that. She's a mother, Come to find out, I was very wrong.
Okay, so hold on. Okay, so you've known her, or at least known of her, since May 2022 or early April?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any interactions with Miss Pierce?
No, not until after March 3rd of 2023, when Quentin was rearrested.
Okay. And he was arrested for what?
He was arrested for an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
And who was that against?
I believe Tracy Pierce. We're still kind of dumbfounded on that, because if that were the case, why didn't that charge come up the day that all this is in question?
To your knowledge, is that what he's the pending charge, or is that something different?
That's a pending charge.
Okay, that's the current pending.
Correct.
And are you present when he's, I guess, talking about that case with prosecutors, or does he talk to you about that case?
Oh yes. Okay. There's a very large group of people that are involved in this criminal conspiracy, is what it is.
Are you going to be a witness in that pending case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do you have any reason to believe that Mr. Smith will be, I guess, locked up and then the child needs to go somewhere else? Or I guess, how does that look?
I believe that the case will be dropped.
And why do you believe that?
After gathering all the evidence that he has, I believe that it's going to be on its very face just what it is. People, setting him up, criminal conspiracy against him.
Okay. And does he have an upcoming pretrial or anything like that?
Yes.
Do you know when that is?
I believe it is October 21st.
And to your knowledge, does Miss Pierce have a criminal history?
I'm not aware, no.
And have you ever seen Miss Pierce any of her children, whether it was her daughter, I believe she's a daughter, Nevaeh,
Yes.
Kaylee, and then Mr. Smith's son, Damien. Have you seen her abuse any of those 3 children?
I've never seen any physical abuse. I do, however, believe that she sexually molested Damien. I've seen his outcry. I've seen him react during all the videos that we took of them arguing like boyfriend, girlfriend. The boy was so emotionally upset that I had to go back to the red house one time and just cry because it just killed me. I mean, it's mentally abuse, yes.
Have you seen Miss Pierce engage in any illegal drugs or excessive drinking?
Yes.
What have you seen her do, whether it was the drugs or the alcohol?
When Quentin was went to jail, she came over to the red house and asked me if I would watch the children for her. She was going to go to Austin and go shopping. She dumped her bags out on the floor and couldn't find her methamphetamines and was frantic about it.
Did she tell you that's what she was looking for, or you just kind of assumed?
Yes. No, that's what she was looking for. She found it and she left.
Has she left her children with you before?
No. Like I said, I did not meet her until after Quentin was rearrested in March. Then she came over the very next day, wanted me to watch the children.
Did she do that again after?
Yes. Several days after, the 2 or 3 days after that, I would have to come over here and watch the 2 girls while she did whatever. She went across the street, I know, to a drug dealer's house, spent a lot of time over there. So yeah, I stayed and watched the kids for her 15 minutes. She said she would be gone away. It ended up being 2-3 hours.
All right. And then there was, let me see. Has Miss Pierce ever tried to get her daughter back since leaving the home?
She came back to get Nevaeh. She tried to say that she was taking Kaylee, but of course Quentin had custody and was not going to allow that to happen. Then that was the end of it. I never heard or seen from her try to get her child back again.
Do you watch Kaylee on a regular basis while Mr. Smith is working?
I do.
You and the grandmother watch Kaylee together?
Yes, ma'am.
How would you describe Kaylee's reaction if you were to ever mention Miss Pierce's?
In the beginning, she would get a little upset. She would cry. She would want her mom. She didn't understand what was going on. But now she doesn't even ask about her anymore.
And if Kaylee were to start having visits with Miss Pierce, do you believe Kaylee would not take that well, or she would be upset in the beginning and then she would warm up, or what are your thoughts as somebody who spends a lot of time with her?
Honestly, I believe that it would be very detrimental to Kaylee if she were to see her mother. Like I said, she didn't understand what was going on in the beginning. She was very hurt that she was gone. Now that she realizes that she's gone, and she hears her name quite frequently, because we talk about the case, etc., on occasion, and it doesn't bother her so much anymore. I mean, I don't see any crying or any fearfulness or anything like that. But I think if she were to see her as a child and then not, would really just kind of mess her up.
Would you be willing to be a supervisor of the visits if the court were to have visits for Kaylee and Miss Pierce?
I do not want to be in front of that woman either. She molested that boy, and she knows she did, and no, I do not.
Do you have any safety concerns that Miss Pierce might try to harm you? Yes,
I have. I'm fearful of her. I'm fearful of the informants. I'm fearful of the government now. There's a lot going on that's not being brought out and open right at this moment. So yeah.
Has Miss Pierce threatened you or physically harmed you?
No, ma'am. She has not physically or threatened me personally. I truly believe that she was involved in Quentin's stabbing. I truly believe that she tried to poison his mother. I also believe that the woman that she lived with before, who died of cancer, I believe she was poisoned as well.
Okay. All right, Miss Freeman. I don't believe I have any more questions for you at this time.
Okay, before I excuse you, Ms. Freeman, Ms. Pierce, do you have any questions, cross-examination questions for Ms. Freeman?
Yes, I do. So Jennifer, you're telling me you never texted me in the whole time this has been going on? We have not had communication?
I didn't ever say that. The last time I texted you was when I was on my way to Florida. I was trying to get to Florida. I asked you for money for help. I was actually fishing for information, and that is when you admitted to me that you said that since you hadn't talked to Damien in over a month, at that point, you told me that I hope he keeps lying. That's all I have to go on. Admitting that you sexually molested him. After that, there was no communication, has been no communication.
Anything else, Ms. Pierce?
Sorry, my phone is glitching out. No, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Smith, you back there?
Yes, I'm right here, ma'am. I'm just standing on the side.
Do you have any questions for Jennifer Freeman?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. Just real quick. Ms. Freeman, do I make you stay here?
No,
Are you afraid of me?
not at all.
All right. Are you sure?
I'm positive.
So while I'm at work, gone, just like in Ms. Pierce's case, when I was gone for 6 months in 2021, consecutive days, and gone for 8 months in 2022, and I was already with you, I'm pretty sure they're fishing for information here and using this as some way to gather, information so they can use it in trial. So what I want to ask you is now that you've been with me for 2 years, could you leave anytime you want?
I have always been able to leave.
Okay. All right. That's all, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm still confused about when Mom was no longer there, Miss Pierce no longer at the house. And okay, I get that you were never in the same house under the same roof with Miss Pierce, but it sounded like you were in the back house, or the rent house, while she was there for a minute, or a year, or what? Because I've heard different years about how long it's been since she's been gone, and I'm trying to sort it out in my own brain.
Actually, on the back of the bedroom door in there, we still have an eviction notice up that we put up 2 or 3 days after she left. That was after we called CPS to get them involved because we needed help.
Yeah, if you'd like, I can go grab that.
Yeah, it has a date on it.
What's the date on it?
It's February 3rd, 2023.
Yeah.
February 3rd, 2023?
I've just got a lot going on.
So she's only been gone a year?
Yes.
Because I heard from Grandma that she's been gone 2 years, and then I heard both things from Dad, and so I'm not sure where he stands.
Well, you want to grab that?
Yeah.
It's on the other door, the other bedroom door.
And a year's a long time, but 2 years is even longer. I'm just trying to figure out how long it's been.
He's getting the notice now, so.
Okay. I have a lot of numbers and lapses going on in my head, so I'm so very sorry. But there you go. That's turn around and show that.
It's 3/14/23. Can you see that?
I see that. Now what does it say? 3-day eviction notice. Miss Pierce can't see it, so I'm reading it. Notice to vacate property, Tracy J. Pierce. It's got an address. You can leave it. Okay, and there's no signature. I'm not sure who's.
No, it's signed. It's just it's a year over a year.
It's over a year old, and it's signed by my mother. Can you see that?
Oh, now I can see it. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so her coming over to get Navaya and her leaving and all that happened 1 year ago. Then is everybody on the same story now?
Well, that would be a year in February or March, so
A little over a year.
Yeah. I'm so sorry.
But you were convinced your mom's date of 2022 was right, and she stood solid on that. So I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah. No. So the reason that the dates are kind of blurry is because we have in our head April of 2022 is when mine and her relationship started, and we have my son and Tracy had a code in their phone 0723, and they also
hold on a minute. You're wanting to try to testify and tell me a lot more than I'm expecting, but I'm just trying to clarify the year. And now
Year
it's
23.
2023, and I hope Ms. Pierce remembers the same thing when she testifies, but we'll see about that. Okay, thank you. And no more questions for Ms. Freeman, Mr. Smith,
No, ma'am.
or Ms. Pierce?
No, Your
Okay, thank you. State, you ready for me to release the witness?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, you're released from the rule now, Ms. Freeman. I've got all these names on the screen. I'm trying to remember the right ones. So you're excused, so you don't have to testify again. I probably won't let you. So if you want to stay in the room and listen to the rest of it, or go off and log on to YouTube, that's your business. But you're excused from testifying.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, now who's your next witness, Ms. Coates?
All right. Mr. Smith.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, oh, so much testimony. All right. So, Mr. Smith, your main concern is not allowing Miss Pierce to have any visits. Is that correct?
She is unfit to be around children, period. I mean,
Mr. Smith, hold on.
Answer
Hold
the
on.
question.
yes.
I know you have a lot to say, but I need you to just say yes or no, and then I'll ask you follow-ups, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So,
The answer to
your
that
main
question is
concern-
yes.
yes, okay. Main concern is yes, she should not have any visits. And Mr. Smith, your main concern for that, or the reason why she shouldn't have any, is based on the photos your mother took of your daughter with the welts. Is that correct?
Yes,
One of the
and
reasons.
One of the reasons, right.
Okay. The other reason would be the alleged abuse that Miss Pierce had sexual relationships with your son.
Yes.
Okay. And you did turn over to me. Now, again, there is currently no order in place by the Texas Department of Family Services. No current order, some findings. Is that correct?
Yes, there are some findings.
But no order.
No order.
All right. So you turned over to me a finding that was sent to your mother. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm going to share this with the judge, Your Honor. Is this what your mother received and what you sent me today with regards to a CPS investigation with claims of abuse to your child?
Yes.
Can
Reasons
you
why.
scroll down and get rid of the address on there? Just go to the meat. There you go. But it does have the, Ms. Pierce can't see any of this, so we're gonna have to talk about it, read it, explain it, whatever. What's the letterhead say, Ms. Coates?
Okay, Your Honor, this is the notice of findings from CPI investigation. This is a report to Miss Lindsay. This is from the Department of Family and Protective Services. It had completed its investigation of abuse or neglect reported on March 25th, 2023, involving one or more children in your family, and made the following findings. The alleged perpetrators are a Lindsay Paul, a Quentin Smith, a Tracy Pierce. The alleged type of abuse for neglect against Miss Pauline was a neglectful supervision. The alleged of abuse for Mr. Smith was neglectful supervision. The alleged type of abuse for Miss Pierce was sexual abuse. The alleged victim for all three of these were a Damian Smith. The findings that they have against Miss Lindsay Paul for the neglectful supervision was unable to determine. The same finding for Mr. Smith, unable to determine. And then the finding for sexual abuse with against Miss Pierce was a reason to believe. And further down on the page, it states how findings are determined. A finding of reason to believe means that a preponderance of the evidence support that the alleged abuse or neglect did occur. It also states a finding of unable to determine means that there was insufficient evidence or information to conclude whether the abuse or neglect did or did not occur. And then it, I can't scroll. There we go. It defines what types of abuse or neglect are. And in this case, oh my goodness, I'm sorry. Neglectful supervision is defined as the following acts or omission by a person placing a child in or failing to remove a child from a situation that a reasonable person would realize requires judgments or actions beyond the child's level of maturity, physical condition, or mental abilities, and that result in bodily injuries or substantial risk of imminent harm to the child, or placing a child in or failing to remove the child from a situation in which the child would be exposed to a substantial risk or sexual conduct harmful to the child, or placing a child in or failing to remove the child from a situation in which the child would be exposed to acts or omissions that constitute abuse under the subdivisions 1E, F, G, H, or K committed. And that's what this document is.
Okay, scroll just slightly higher where there was the paragraphs underneath that box that talked about perpetrators, alleged abuse, type of abuse, the victim, and finding. There's a small paragraph or sentence underneath that. Yeah.
The investigation is now closed and there will be no further agency involvement with your family unless we receive another report of abuse or neglect, which by law we shouldn't need to investigate.
Okay.
And then I have another one, Your Honor. So
the reported incident was March 5th, but the date this letter was sent, mailing date May 3rd, 2023.
Yes, Judge.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And so, Mr. Smith, this is what your mother received, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then there was another one. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to bring that one up as well. 1 second. My computer is being wonky. So this other one that I'm going to show, this was after the first one. Is that correct or before?
Yeah, before, I think. Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, there are a lot of exhibits. Sorry, Judge. There's a lot of emails that they sent me, so I'm trying to look for.
I'm not rushing you, Ms. Coates. It's fine.
Okay, here it goes. Here we go.
Bullshit.
All right.
Metal.
All right. So this is the one before the last one we just read. There we go.
The mailing date is April 10th, 2023.
Yes, Judge. And then this one's to you, Mr. Smith. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then this is again done by the Texas Department of Family Protective Services. This is their findings. You made claims of alleged abuse or neglect on March 11th, 2023.
Correct.
And the alleged perpetrator is Miss Tracy Pierce on all four of these counts or alleged abuse.
Yes.
And so the type of abuse listed in the first one is neglectful supervision of Damian Smith, which they found as ruled out. Then the second claim is a neglectful supervision of a Kaylee Smith, as also ruled out. The third claim is neglectful supervision of Nevaeh Loftus, also ruled out. And lastly, a claim of physical abuse of a Damian Smith, in which their finding was reason to believe. Okay, so then I'm going to put this here. It says the investigation is now closed. Be aware that this letter applies only to the closure of your investigation case. We have offered services to your family to address safety and risk concerns involved or identified during the investigation. Your family may continue to be involved with DFPS and assigned an ongoing services caseworker through the family-based service safety services or conservatorship program. And then they explained that a finding of a ruled out means that based on the available information, it was reasonable to conclude that the alleged abuse or neglect did not occur. A finding of reason to believe means that a preponderance of the evidence supports that the alleged abuse or neglect did occur. And then as previously mentioned in the other findings, it does state the same findings of what a neglectful supervision is defined as. So, Mr. Smith, after these two findings, did your son receive any services from DFPS?
I wasn't trusting the situation through Comal County at the time, so I took him to K-Star Counseling on my own. K-Star Counseling in Blanco County at Johnson City. He continued counseling there until the counselor thought he did not need counseling anymore.
How long was he in counseling?
8 weeks, I think.
Oh, right. And then
See if you can rewind it and see the pictures.
And then Mr. Smith, has Miss Pierce ever done drugs in front of you?
Yes, she has.
Has she ever done drugs in front of Kaylee or any of her other children?
Yes, and there's actually CPS record of this.
Did you turn that over to me, or is that something that's in your files?
No, well, no, that's we don't have a copy of that. CPS does. We have to subpoena that.
Okay. And then I understand you had a hard time having Miss Pierce leave the home.
Well, I mean, before my son came all the way clean, every time we put up an eviction notice, he'd rip them down. You know, like, you have to understand it's his first sexual experience, and he just, was manipulated, groomed, wronged.
And right now there is no, I guess, has she been indicted or arrested for the assault against your son?
So all the way in the police car, all the way there, I'm telling the cops. And the 9th, the alleged, or my day in question, September 2nd. I'm sorry, I'm just a little upset. And then after that, September 9th, which was just 7 days later, my mom filed a police report because she's the legal guardian. She has told the detective that my son would say anything to keep me out of prison. And that's just a farce. It's a lie. She molested that boy for over 6 months. Tracy Jen Evelyn Pierce molested my son for over 6 months straight.
Okay, so let's back it up a little bit. So September 2nd of what year were you arrested?
2022.
And that's for the aggravated assault?
Yeah, yes, September 2nd of 2022. That's how long this has been going on.
And that was against Miss Pierce?
Yes.
And then while you were arrested and going through that process, 7 days later, your mother files a report about abuse.
Yes.
Now, your mother filed the report on her own because she had some concerns, or your son made an outcry to her after the whole situation?
No, she made a report on her own because she had some concerns. Damien had not yet told the truth then. And she was told then that, well, we need an outcry statement, which I have a recording. I have a copy of recording the original outcry statement here for evidence.
Do you know why Miss Pierce has not been arrested or charged for these allegations?
I have a good authority that she's an ex-Austin confidential informant, and that she has pretty much manipulated the situation. If you see this board behind me, there's over 50-something people involved in a large criminal conspiracy to get rid of me, all based on lies. She has taken over a property on behalf of someone in the past in Leander. And she was trying to do that here. She found another woman with cancer, and she knew she couldn't pull off the hat trick unless she had sex with my son. I mean, it's a lot more than just she's sick, right? it's a lot more than that. She's sick, and she was trying to slide her way into a piece of property. Now, if I'm in prison, I can still own property. But if she's my
Okay,
wife,
hold on, Mr. Smith.
I'm sorry.
I know.
Didn't mean to go off.
That's okay. So it is your personal belief the reason she's not being charged is because she's currently an informant and they want to keep her as an informant.
That and they have violated my constitutional rights and civil rights 6 ways from Sunday. And they feel as if that this will be able to shut me up. I have a tort that I have started and will be filing at the beginning of next month against 5 officers and 50-something people on this board back here. They, in every way, she manipulated, called over 20 or 30 people in my phone, and in advance told them that I hit her, beat her, isolate her, that I won't let her leave the house. Yet I'm gone 6 months in 1 year and 8 months in another. See, this is a manipulation to take over a piece of property. No one has ever seen me hit Miss Pierce. No one has ever seen a bruise on Miss Pierce from me because I do not hit her.
Okay. And so, Mr. Smith, what kind of work do you do?
Construction.
And so your job takes you away?
Yeah. So in 2021, there was a big freeze in San Antonio, and I work such long hours, like 12 hours sometimes, that it's just easier for me to stay Monday through Friday inside San Antonio and then drive the hour back out here and visit my kids on the weekends. So I wasn't just saying, hey, I'm gone. Like, I'm gone consecutive days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. This woman could have left anytime she wanted. Call the law anytime she wanted.
Is this the work you're still doing now? You're still consecutively gone?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not at all. Not since this happened. I mean, I'm very distrustful of unfortunately, even Jennifer. Like, I don't care if I get 2 hours of sleep. I am not.
No, I know, sorry. Mr. Smith. No, it's okay. Mr. Smith, so what are you doing now for work?
Same thing, construction.
Okay. But local?
Yes, local.
Okay. So what's the longest time you're gone?
13 hours.
But you don't stay out of town. It's just local where you're living.
Right, where I'm living, and then San Antonio, and a drive back. There's no overnight.
All right. And how are you paid? Hourly or salary?
Neither. I'm paid by the job. I bid jobs and contract jobs.
And so it's contract work, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So you don't have health insurance available through any of those employers?
No, I do not.
So how is your daughter covered on health insurance right now?
Through Medicaid.
And is that through you or Miss Pierce?
That's through me.
And has and even though you've had the child and she wants the child back, has Miss Pierce helped you financially?
She's not helped me financially. Besides dropping off a couple of packages, she hadn't even made an attempt to see her daughter.
Okay. And then you as well do not wish to be a supervisor if this court were to allow visits, given your history with Miss Pierce?
There is no way.
And your suggestion is if there were to be visits that you would prefer they'd be through like a visitation center or somewhere who they do that kind of thing?
I definitely, if there were to be visitations, it needs to be in front of a counselor or a visitation center for sure.
And there's no one else who would be willing to supervise your daughter and Miss Pierce together?
No one.
When was the last time your daughter saw Miss Pierce?
I think that was established the day that she walked off the property, which is late February, early March of 2023.
And we'll confirm whether it was 23 or 2022, because I know your mom said 2022. You and Miss.
It was 2023. I'm sorry for that mistake. It was a lapse in memory.
And Mr. Smith, has CPS ever gotten involved based on allegations with you and taken the child away?
Never. Never.
Has CPS been involved with you and then said, we don't find any reason to remove her?
Absolutely. They have. I called CPS and I complied with all their UAs. And everything they asked me to do, I complied.
And so was the CPS called by Miss Pierce?
No, by me. About Damien.
All right. And has Miss Pierce ever called CPS on you or the cops to do a welfare check and anything happen?
No, nothing like that.
Okay. All right. And so if you were to be the custodial parent, oh, she fell off, Your Honor.
Oh no.
I know.
I don't know what she said she had a problem with earlier. I was afraid it was a battery dying, but did you hear that, Miss Coates? What she might have said?
I didn't hear. I did inform her though that this was going to be a while, so to charge her phone. So.
Okay. Well, my experience has been you wait a minute or two, somehow they come back. So let's do that. I'm not going to stop anything. I'm just going to, at least the records, I'm just going to stop my audio and video.
Okay. Mr. Smith, hang on. Don't say anything. We're going to wait for her to come back.
Okay.
Oh, Mr. Smith, no smoking. Technically, it's still court.
No
Miss
vaping?
Pierce is back. I'm going to admit her.
Yeah, no vaping.
Okay.
All right. Miss Pierce is back.
I'm back, guys. I have no idea what happened.
That's okay.
Did I see a video when you walked in and then you stopped it or not?
Okay.
No, man, my phone does not work.
I thought I saw something. Let me ask, Miss Coates, you weren't looking, were you? You were looking at your screen? Or
I was looking at my notes. Maybe Mr. Valderas or San saw
I
it.
got to ask the other two folks in the room, Mr. Valderas, Ms. Gonzalez, one at a time. Mr. Valderas, did you see a...
No, Your Honor, I was not looking at the screen.
You weren't looking, so you didn't see anything, or did you not?
I did not, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Gonzalez, my court coordinator, did you see anything that...
I thought I saw a quick glimpse, Judge.
Yes, that's what I saw.
All right. Miss.
Try
And then
it. Let me send you a prompt and you just try it. Ask to start video. Click on that, Ms. Pierce. You're muted. I can't hear you if you're trying to respond, but I'm asking you to click on the prompt that says ask to start video.
Screen, but it's flashing.
Well, you came in, I saw a flash of something, and it looked like it might have been a quick photo, and you realized a camera and you stopped it. That's what I saw. Now, that already gives me cause for concern about your credibility if you're not telling me the truth. But I'm asking you out of the abundance of caution that if you have the ability to start your video, I'd like to see you at least once to see what you look like.
My camera does not work at all.
Did you click the prompt?
It says host has opened. Yes, I did. And it just flashes.
Is there a button somewhere on your screen where you can slide to turn on and off the camera?
No, ma'am. It says host has opened a room again. Nope.
Do you see the camera? What is it? Where it's actually looking at you at the very top of your. Are you on a laptop or are you on a phone?
I'm on a cell phone.
Does anybody have any ideas, Ms. Coates?
Your Honor, I keep sending her a prompt and it keeps saying she'll start it later.
You have another device, Ms. Pierce? Another smartphone, another laptop or computer or any other access besides what you're using right now? You're muted. I can't hear you, ma'am. I asked you a question. Ms. Pierce?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking. No, I do not have any other electronics. And my other phone number, I lost my SIM card to it, and the replacement has not came yet.
Well, let me address a couple other issues I noticed along the way. One, you were unmuted and I could hear you trying to sound out my name. I clearly heard that. Were you talking to somebody else in the room?
Yes, ma'am. I was actually trying to send you emails. I was trying to look up your email address.
Who else is in the room?
My boyfriend.
Does he have a phone?
He does not.
Now, if I could see you, I could trust you that nobody's standing there trying to whisper to you, talk to you, give you advice, act as your representative, whatever. But I can't see that. You're telling me I should believe you.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. My screen is also broken. That's why when I have to push the talk button, it doesn't work very well.
Why do I find it hard to believe that your boyfriend would not have an accessible cell phone and you could use it for Zoom for right now? Why should I believe he doesn't?
His phone is actually disconnected. He's switching carriers.
Do you get how suspicious it looks that you have a precise answer for every single question where you get your way and I don't get to see you and see what you look like and see how you present and see what
Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
I went onto your YouTube page and rewind, and I did see a glimpse that the camera was working.
Do you hear that, Ms. Pierce?
Yes, ma'am, but my screen and my camera is broken.
So you want me to disbelieve Ms. Coates too, that in rewinding it, you saw a screen?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the screen is very janky. Half of it lights up and half of it doesn't.
Is there anybody else that's close by? Ms. Pierce?
What do you mean, is there anyone else close by?
Well, in your house, in the room, and anywhere else on the property you're at, wherever you're at?
I mean,
besides your boyfriend, is there anyone else that might have a device you could use in wherever proximity you are?
I mean, there's 50 other apartments here, but I don't know any of my neighbors.
There's what? How many what there?
I mean, I live in apartments, but I don't talk to my neighbors. Not on a regular basis.
What's the problem with the on and off, the mute and unmute? Why is that going back and forth?
Because the screen flashes.
That's not you clicking it on and off multiple times back to back?
Sorry to interrupt you. Sometimes it looks like it's on and off because the screen is broken right there.
Has anybody, Ms. Coates, Mr. Smith, had any cell phone contact with Ms. Pierce where she was able to use the screen and show herself?
I do not contact this woman at all.
Okay, Ms. Coates, you wouldn't have had need to.
No, not today, but like I said, going back on rewinding and screenshotting, I did see that it worked.
Did you see a visible image of her, or just the flashing of however long she was on?
I did not see her. What I saw, Your Honor, was, and I sent this to Roxanne as well, was like a person in the very corner, and then like a ceiling, and then the fan.
Okay.
And then
go ahead.
Off. And then that's it. That's all it quickly disappeared, so it was hard to see. But
well, I'm distressed by the fact that I'm trying to believe Miss Pierce and trying to believe everything she said and that it's true. Now, you didn't bother to tell me there's somebody in the room with you, Miss Pierce, this whole time. I'm not sure I necessarily asked, but I asked him. So would you not have thought to tell me that somebody was in your room with you, Miss Pierce?
No, ma'am, I did not even think to tell you, and he actually has not been here the whole time.
Is he still there?
Yes, he is. Does he need to leave?
Well, I don't know. Are you gonna? It's too late to want to call him as a witness if he's been there off and on, has heard most of this stuff anyway. But you weren't planning to call anybody. You said you didn't have any witnesses, so I assumed you weren't going to present any. So you're not trying to tell me your boyfriend's going to be a witness, correct?
No, ma'am, no.
Well, my problem is that if somebody's there trying to coach you, or you haven't testified yet, but trying to give you arguments, trying to coach you, trying to direct legal traffic here, I do have a problem with that. I'm trying to believe you don't have a device that works right now conveniently, and you haven't done anything about it, and your boyfriend doesn't have a device, that it's all happened coincidentally. And I'm having a hard time, to be honest. But I've also now given you an hour and a half of my time, and I don't see any other options but to go forward, actually. You're not asking for anything different. Mr. Smith, you want to finish this hearing?
Yeah, I would like to finish.
And Ms. Pierce, can you answer reply to that?
Yes, I would like to finish. If you don't want to finish today, I mean, I can get a new phone. I mean, my SIM card is on the way and my replacement phone. So, but I would like to continue.
Well, you realize how skeptical I am of your story right now. You get that?
Yes, ma'am, I do. And I wish you could see this phone. You know where you can flip the camera back and forth? That screen completely on that side doesn't work at all. So I can't put it on the front camera because the back camera, because the back camera would work.
Yeah, most people that come to court think it's very important, especially people that want custody of their child when they haven't had any visitation or any custody in at least a year. I would have thought you made every effort to get the best thing you could have gotten to come in and participate fully, not hide behind a broken camera.
No, I've never had to. I've on all the paperwork and stuff before with our Zoom meetings ever. I've called the phone number. No, ma'am. Like I told you, I've never been to court.
Well, if I had ordered that this be an in-person hearing and you had to go to court, you wouldn't have had any option. Would you have showed up?
Absolutely. I actually thought the first hearing, I thought it was going to be live action in person.
Well, the other thought I have in my mind is you're not wanting me to see you because for some reason it may not be a pretty picture, especially if the allegation is you've been using or abusing drugs. I kind of did want to see you for that very reason. And now I have nothing to go on.
I am actually very proud to say that I have been sober since I have left Quentin. I only relapsed once in 5 years with him because Jennifer left to a battered women's shelter.
Do you have a recent photo of yourself in your phone that you can email to somebody?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, then send it to the state, and if I can have, they can screen share it or have access. I'd like to see what you look like. I really would, and a recent picture.
Deal.
If you can screenshot it with a date on there, that would be great.
Give me 1 second. Let me find one that doesn't have, like from Snapchat or something, gallery. The one that's not filtered for you. I don't really take a lot of pictures. Hold on. And where do I send this to? Let me see.
Can you chat with her, somebody from the state, and give her the email address for the state? Would you have immediate access to it, Ms. Coates, or is that one of those things that gets lost in the transition? You're muted, Ms. Coates. I can't hear you.
It is one of those things that get lost.
Roxanne,
I think I have. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, my coordinator. Can you chat with Ms. Pierce and ask and give her our court's address?
Do you see my name on the screen?
Are you asking me or Ms. Pierce?
I guess she can't even see my name, can she?
I was gonna say I don't think she can see.
No, but chatting, you mean it wouldn't go through if you chat it? It would, like a text going through, wouldn't go through?
She can't. She claims she can't see any of it. She can even see the chat. I can email the email I have on file and have her send it to that.
Yeah, you do that. It's important to me to take the time to do that, yeah. So Ms. Pierce, the AG is going to email, well, you know my court's address. I still want it to my court's address, Ms. Coates.
I will CC the Roxanne in here.
So she'll know you sent the right one? Okay.
Yes. So I just emailed the email we have on file. And just for while we're waiting, I have no more questions for Mr. Smith. Just reserve the right to recall if necessary.
Okay. We'll let her take care of this business before you start calling her. Ms. Pierce, if you can unmute and tell me where you are in the process here.
What email do you have on file? Because I did not receive one. Maybe it's in spam or junk.
You can try your spam or junk, but I don't want to share your email on what we have on file. That I can get in trouble.
Give me just a second, Your Honor.
The judge is asking for a picture of her, and she's claiming she can't come
I
up.
can
with
hear
it.
you, Mr. Smith. You can mute.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I was trying to.
I understand. That's fine. You can mute.
Ma'am, is there any way you can get on my Facebook?
No, I've had enough social media for today. The Zoom. I need to finish this hearing. No.
I'm so
So you
sorry.
haven't even gotten my email address from the state?
No, ma'am. Would it be from the Attorney General, like the same email that text me?
I emailed you from my attorney email.
It's got your name on it, Ms. Coates?
It does, Your Honor.
So you see her name at the bottom of the screen? That's where it would come from? And she's giving you my email address or a generic court's email address where I would be able to access whatever you send.
Awesome.
Although it's taking too long, Ms. Pierce. I'm going to give up pretty soon.
I apologize. I only have 2 email addresses. That's what's really weird. But the screen is broken, so let's see. Try to send it again because it is not here.
Did you just click send, Ms. Coates, again?
Give me a minute. I can send again, but
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Did you send it?
yes.
Okay, let's see. Oh, it is in this email. Yay. Okay. I'm going to, it is definitely not the best picture. And you want the time and date, details.
No, I thought you might have a date on it from when you screenshot it, it might have some information on when you took it. I'm not worried about that anymore.
This one's from March, so. May, okay, here. Email address. Gmail. Oh, and you said you couldn't give me your, okay. I hate electronic.
Just
You
click
can't
reply.
for it? Okay.
Just click reply all, and it should allow you to attach the photo.
So you, myself, and my coordinator would receive the photo instantaneously or simultaneously, Ms. Coates?
If she does reply all, Your Honor, it's going to go to Roxanne, and then Roxanne can forward it to you, Your Honor. I just didn't know which email you want it, or which one would be faster for you, but I CC'd in Roxanne, so if she does the reply all.
Okay.
Okay, reply all. How do I do that? Reply, it only has Roxanne on there.
It's fine if it just says Roxanne. Roxanne can forward to me.
Yes, ma'am.
If I'm gonna look at it, Mr. Smith needs to get to look at it too, so I'll be mindful of that, Ms. Coates, if you forward it. And I'll let you forward it. I want you to forward it.
Or how about just screen sharing it?
Yeah, so if somebody just forwarded to me, I could screen
Yeah,
share.
I thought of that, but we're not even there yet, so.
I don't know how to do the all, so I'm just going to send it this way for you. These are just silly pictures at work. It says it's sent. Oh, I found the reply all button. Did you get it, sweetheart? Or ma'am?
Yes. Give me a second. All right, Judge, this is what I received. I'm going to be sharing the screen. This is the first photo Miss Pierce has sent me.
Oh, Lord.
Apologies.
Look at this.
Oh my God.
Mr. Smith, it's not a sideshow
No, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. This just,
Okay. Mr. Smith, does this look like her?
it looks like her 100 pounds less.
Okay.
Oh, you were saying
So-
I've lost 4 pounds, Quentin.
And then, Judge, this is the other photo she sent us. And then, Mr. Smith, just
Yes, ma'am. I'll
mark
mute it.
yourself, just a yes or no. This is the other photo she sent me. Mr. Smith, does this kind of look like her? Is this not her?
That's her. But again, if you look at her Facebook from just 2 years ago, she is over 100 pounds heavier.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
And is there a reason you're pointing this out, Mr. Smith, her weight difference?
Methamphetamine use and the sales of methamphetamines at 7-Eleven.
Okay. Judge, these are the two photos she
Okay, I
sent
don't
me.
need any more. One's pretty dressed up and one's not. What were you doing in that first photo? Blowing something off your fingertips, or what was that? A kiss
I was
or-
blowing a kiss to my son and my daughter when I was at work smoking a cigarette.
Okay, I'm done with that. Let's move on. Next witness.
Okay. I don't know if Ms. Pierce wanted to ask Mr. Smith any questions. I was done asking questions of Mr. Smith.
I'm gonna wait till the end. Let's just do her testimony because I've already lost here almost 2 hours, 1:53. So
All right, Ms. Pierce.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Pierce, okay. Ms. Pierce, so I understand you and your boyfriend are living together. Is that correct?
I live in my own apartment. I've lived here for
Good.
over almost a year.
But does he live in the apartment too?
No, ma'am.
Okay. How many bedrooms is the apartment?
I have a 3-bedroom apartment.
Does anyone else live in there to help with the rent or anything, or are you just paying that on your own?
I pay my own bills. My kids come on the weekend, so that's why they have one room, and the other one is set up for Kaylee.
All right. And so we're all a little bit confused on when you left the property of Mr. Smith and his mother. Do you remember when you left?
It was it was 2023, and it was February or March. And I
Okay.
did not leave willingly. I got a phone call when I was at work telling me I had a letter to evict, and I could not, no trespassing, couldn't go back on the property. And when I went back to get my daughter, the lady even looked at Miss Pauline and told her she can go back in there and sit on that couch if she wants to. She pays rent here. And I said, I don't want to start no trouble.
Okay, so you did go back to get Nevaeh. Did you also go back to get Kaylee?
Yes, of course. I was actually
what happened?
never leaving there. I was there because of Mom and Damien. I took care of Mom and my kids. That's it. All this other shit they have going on, it's such bullshit.
Okay, so why didn't you leave with Kaylee?
What do you mean leave with Kaylee? I was at work when I got the phone call that I couldn't come back to the house. When I came back to get them to go to the beach like we do every year, spring break, he would
Miss
not
Pierce,
let me take Kaylee.
Yeah, my question is, why did Kaylee never leave with you to go to a new location? Why is she still with Mr. Smith?
Because when when CPS closed our case, I did not know they could not forcefully, is what the lady said. I can't forcefully remove her. I said, what do you mean you can't? Him beating me for years in front of her, it's not mental abuse. Like, if I would have known that putting her with the state would have got her back to me faster, I would have done that. But I told CPS, and this is all documented, that if Jennifer was there and Grandma was there, he'd have other people to deal with, not my daughter. And I will honestly say, Quentin does not beat on children. He has spanked their ass, but he don't beat on children for no reason.
I'm a good dad. I love my.
Yeah, and I'm a damn good mom, and I love my kids too, Quentin, and this is bullshit.
And Ms. Pierce, you're gonna answer questions. Mr. Smith, don't interrupt. She didn't interrupt you. It's not your time to talk.
Yes.
Sorry, Your Honor.
So, Miss Pierce, did you try to take Kaylee with you and it didn't work, and then you called CPS?
The CPS case was already open. I've called CPS. I've talked to the her name is Velva. The district attorney of Comal County told me several months ago to pray for patience and keep doing what I was doing. I was doing great, finished my counseling, all that good stuff. And she said, pray for patience, you know, and this was before the attorney general had reached out to me, because I had to call y'all to see what was going on because I felt like it was taking too long. He had already filed for us to go to the attorney general, but I felt like it was taking too long. And the lady told me that it was on the desk and that they would reach out to me.
Okay. I'm just going to move on. Have you tried to reach out to Mr. Smith or anyone in the home to see your daughter?
Yes, I've sent wellness checks over there, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, but you personally, have you gone over there?
I have texted Jennifer's phone, yes. And I can't go over there because they freak out. I have to get a police escort just to drop off her presents. And the reason why I quit dropping off her presents, if my fucking sorry, excuse my language, if my camera worked, you could see all the presents in the closet for her over these passing holidays. The attorney general or the district attorney told me to not make a scene. Don't have Quentin out there fucking acting a fool. Don't get the baby upset because it's not going to be that much longer. And that was months ago.
When was the last time you texted Jennifer?
Oh, let me look. We have mutual friends too. Not really friends, acquaintances. And there are old people that live in his neighborhood. And I always ask them how she's doing, you know, what's going on with her, you know, all this good stuff. And they said that she's, you know, she's getting big. And let me see. I gotta go to my Jennifer, I gotta type in her name. Alrighty. Let me see. Outgoing call was the last time I called her was April 29th at 7:35. And I called 3 times.
All right. So then, Miss Pierce, did Jennifer answer those calls? Hold on, Mr. Smith. You can and just okay. Did she pick up any of those calls? I know you said you called her 3 times.
Not those times. She did not.
Did you call Mr. Smith or his mother to try to work out a visit or something? Then they denied you, or?
I was advised not to, but he came into my work. There's a police report filed about that as well. Whenever he was looking for Jennifer because she was hiding in the woods on the way to Florida. And I have text message evidence of all that. She can say she was, you know, digging for evidence or whatever. I don't care. But
and when was this?
That was January, March, April, May, August 8/8/2023. And that was it was a couple days that she texted me trying to get money. Because she was hitchhiking, supposedly. And like I told Pauline when the cop told me I could go back in that house and I didn't want to create a ruckus, and Mom told me that she was sorry, and that this too shall pass. I told her that I would give her food money. I would give her stuff, but she's the one that pays those bills. Quentin does not. I had to get a job just to make up the difference.
And you're employed where at?
7-Eleven.
And are you making hourly or salary?
I make hourly.
Is it a full or a part-time job?
I think technically it's part-time because sometimes we don't work 40 hours.
What's the most you work?
Here recently, I work 4 days a week, 8 to 10 hour shifts. Recently, it has not been 10-hour shifts. When I first got the job, when I was taking care of the girls, taking Damien to school, when I was working overnights, I would get off. I would go into work at 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and I wouldn't get off till 6 a.m. And I did that. I was working 65-hour weeks a year ago. Now, not at all. We're working 21, 32 hours sometimes.
All right. If I look at your income based on 32 hours,
I would go with 32. I'd go with 28. Because if I stay over, then it's 32 sometimes, but not often. Not recently, ma'am.
So based on 32, monthly income would be $2,010.67. If I do it on
Yep.
28, hold on, that's before taxes.
What's the hourly rate you're using?
$14.50.
Okay.
Hold on.
And I'm barely scraping by because my rent here is $1,400.
So then using 28 hours, $1,759.33.
And excuse me, it's $1,200. If it's late, it goes up to $14. And that
Okay.
includes my water and my cable. Not cable, water and internet.
Okay. If there's no one else living with you, how are you affording that rent then?
Paycheck to paycheck.
So
I
your
actually
other children, they're not living with you?
They are actually, they go to a private academy in Austin. And when Nevaeh started going to school there, she is on the cheer team. She's doing absolutely amazing. They might come to Blanco, but I really don't think Blanco's a good place for them. I think I like that school better. So I think I'm going to go to Austin after my lease year is up.
The private academy, is it like a private school and it's a dorm, or they're
It's actually, okay, it's like a charter school, I guess you could say, because it's open to the public, but you have to work within the city of Austin. Like not within the city, like with the actual city of Austin. It's called Harmony Science Academy.
So, Miss Pierce, is it their father that's living there and that's how they're able to go?
Yes, he works for the city of Austin. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so do they live on this school or are they staying with their father?
Do they live what?
Do they live at the school or do they live with their father?
Oh, no, ma'am. They do not live at the school. No.
Are you paying child support to their father?
Yes, ma'am. When him and I went to court, it was, I mean, honestly, I really don't feel like I pay child support. I pay for their health care benefits because whenever Quentin and I was together and I was going to court for Rylan and Gabby with Randy, he told me to just pay for both of them, just pay his health care benefits and he would be fine.
Are those children living with their father because you voluntarily gave them up or they were removed from your care?
What do you mean by that? There's no CPS cases open. They were never removed from my house. If I wanted to go get my kids, I could go get all of them right now and he'd be completely, it's okay. CPS would be okay with it. All this stuff about CPS saying I couldn't have my kids, that's a bunch of crock of shit.
What I'm asking is, why are the children living there and not with you?
Because this is not a good school district. They go to an amazing school.
How often do they visit you?
Every weekend. I actually have the weekends off every weekend. That was my only requirement when I got that job.
You know, it occurs to me, Ms. Coates, that I'm now confused about which kids she's claiming as these kids we're talking about. Can you clarify that for me?
It's the 3 children, Your Honor, that she has outside the court. Nevaeh, another daughter, and the other son. We didn't get the other 2 children's names, but she has three other children with a different father, and they live with their father.
What are the other 2 kids' names, Ms. Pierce? Ms. Pierce, you're muted.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Rylan and Gabriella.
And how old is Nevaeh?
Nevaeh is 6.
Rylan?
He is 11.
What was it, Gabriella?
Gabriella is 10.
And they're all the children of the one father that's got them?
Yep.
Okay. And then you're talking about Kaylee. I know about Kaylee. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, Ms. Pierce, you said that it's not a good school district there. Then would you be wanting Kaylee to attend that, or you're going to move to Austin with Kaylee? Is that your plan, I guess?
Well, the rent is so expensive out here, and my job said I could transfer to the other 7-Eleven or any other 7-Eleven as long as they're willing to, hire me. So it's kind of all up in the air. I don't know yet.
Okay. And if you were the custodial parent, what kind of visits would you be looking for Mr. Smith to have?
That's all up to his court date and all that good shit. I even told him when he went to jail, I'd bring that baby to see him after all the shit he's put me through. I'd still bring that baby girl to see him every month.
Do you think those visits should be supervised or no?
With Quentin?
Yes.
Seeing him? I don't mean to bring it up. I kind of worry about Quentin freaking out about going to jail for the rest of his fucking life and fucking disappearing with Kaylee.
Miss Pierce, please watch your language.
I'm sorry. I cuss all the time. I've been doing really good with it. Up until this point.
Have you ever seen you stated that Mr. Smith has never harmed a child. So do you have some reason to believe if Kaylee was to come live with you that he would harm her? You're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't think, like, vindictively he would hurt her just because I had her. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying he would, like, skip town or not go to court or kick the can down the road. He's always talked about going to Kansas with Jennifer.
Wow.
Okay. I guess what would be your idea of, gradually working Kaylee to live with you if Judge were to grant that? I mean, she has spent all this time with Mr. Smith. So how do you think that should be handled, given that she hasn't seen you in quite some time?
I can say this from personal experiences. Kids don't forget. Kids know. My daughter Nevaeh was placed outside the family, with family. And she was there for 10 months until Quentin and I got her back. And Mom was right. She literally told me, put your hair up or down, however you normally have it. And the kid knew exactly who I was. I was so scared, ma'am. I'm not going to lie. I was freaking out. But I know Kaylee still talks about me because people tell me. Jennifer has even told me that she talks about me. And Quentin even talks about me to her on videos. So it's not like she doesn't know who her mother is. It's not like her mother abandoned her.
You don't think Kaylee would be a little scared if she just was, told to come live with you out of the blue?
Absolutely not. I mean, we could gradually do it. That's fine too. She is fearless. I mean, when we would be getting into it, she would try to jump right in the middle of it because that's just how she is. She's not a scared individual.
Do you have a legal objection? You just want to reply, Mr. Smith?
I don't have a legal objection as to right now. No.
Then it's not.
I'm sorry.
Time to talk.
Miss Pierce, do you have any pending charges?
No, ma'am, I do not. I've been in contact with all of them. I do have a unpaid parking ticket that's partially paid that I'm still paying off slowly.
And then earlier,
I've never been. Last tickets I had was a speeding ticket 16 year ago and a minor consumption when I was 16.
Okay, and then earlier shared on the screen, which you couldn't see, but I read the documents about DCFS making claims towards you against Mr. with regards to Damian Smith, that they believe that there is some foundation to those allegations and abuse. So did you ever receive those documents?
Yes, but Quentin kept all my paperwork. The first one was reported a physical abuse because Damian and I got in a fight. He hit me when I had Kaylee in my arms because I would not let him be late for school. I would not drive him to school. And that was for physical abuse, not sexual abuse. And that was case closed instantly. The second one, case closed instantly. I even went and called the detectives. I was like, what the hell? What do we do to speed up the process? And they told me, I know where you live. I know where you work. If I have any questions, because when he first talked to me, he said, you're hard to get a hold of. And I said, I'm sorry, sir. I work overnights. You have to call me at nighttime hours. Simple as that. And he said, have you been ducking and dodging me? And I'm like, excuse me? I work overnight, sir. I said, I am carless, homeless at the time, with no friends in this town. So you could get to me way faster. And he's like, oh, you're right. Oh, I brought up the fact that there had already been an open up CPS case for this shit stuff. And he's like, oh, you're right. I'm sorry for coming at you, abruptly. And I've never said another word to him again.
Okay. Miss Pierce, who would watch Kaylee if you do overnights or when you're working?
It's kind of crazy. My daughter goes to school, could go to work with me, actually.
You would have a 4-year-old at your job all day?
I have a service animal as well. All the ladies bring their kids up there. Not all of them, some of them. Let me restate that.
Would you be willing to ask Mr. Smith and them and Jennifer and his mother to watch the child?
I mean, I would hope so.
Okay, but if you couldn't, there's no one else then.
Oh, no, of course there is. I mean, I could hire a babysitter. I know the lady at the daycare right here in Blanco. My boss would watch her.
Okay. Was there anything else?
The Good Samaritans. I went there. It's a food bank. I went there to get food and to go to their little thrift store. And they were offering all sorts of stuff. It was during back to school time, and they were offering after school programs, babysitters, and free school supplies, free school clothes, all that stuff, which I didn't have any kids that needed anything, so I didn't get any of it. But yeah, there's resources. And if there's a will, there's a way. Okay.
With regards to any of the allegations made or any comments to the testimonies that any of the witness has said, is there anything you wanted to add on or that I didn't ask you that you wanted to make a reply to or anything else?
The only way I can wrap my head around any of it is Grammy told me one day he never had a mom or a dad until he met you, and he got both in one. And I said yes, and I relapsed and did drugs with Quentin, and the kid was heartbroken and mad. He felt like he lost his whole world all over again because he didn't have a mom or a dad once again.
Which child are you talking about?
I'm talking about Damian James Smith. Grammy has had that kid since he was little.
All right. No further questions for Ms. Pierce, Your Honor.
Okay. That occurs to me, maybe I should do the cross-exam at this time. Mr. Smith, do you have any questions for Ms. Pierce? You have the right to ask questions. Same thing I told you about when you had the other witnesses on.
Yeah, I do have just a couple of questions. Have you ever admitted to, well, first of all, do you know a guy named Trevor Edge? I can't hear you, Ms. Pierce. You're muted.
Yes, I do know Trevor Edge. He's your friend.
Have you ever admitted to Trevor Edge that you had sexual relations with my son?
I don't talk to Trevor like that. Absolutely not. No.
You stayed with Trevor for a little while, but I have a audio I'd like to admit as evidence of Trevor Edge saying exactly this. May I admit
There's been people coming up to my work, Quentin, telling them that I'm a dope whore and I'm this and you don't beat nobody and all this shit. Sean Arredondo, all these uncredible witnesses that you have. I don't care about any of them. They're all low-life, dope fiend crackheads. I'm done and over with that shit. Do you understand? Let's grow.
Ms. Pierce, you can make a legal objection to the audio, but that's not what this is. It's just a ranting. This person, whenever you recorded her, she's not available to cross-examine, Mr. Smith?
He.
Oh, he. I'm sorry, I didn't understand which one it was.
No, Trevor Edge. He does, but in the audio, he does say his own name. And I say I'm going to Trevor Edge's house right now to talk to him because he admitted to me before, and I wanted to get him on audio. So it was just me and him one-on-one in my personal vehicle, and that only needs to be. I'm sure the judge well knows it. that there only needs to be one person know that the recording was being recorded. I've since let him listen to it afterwards, but he didn't even know he was being recorded. And I took this audio recording.
You took this audio to court? You mean this court? Or you talking about...
No, I said I took this audio recording.
Oh, recording.
Yeah, and he didn't know. I like I said, I let him listen to it afterwards, but at the time, he didn't know he was being recorded. So, and this is a one-party state, so.
No, I get all that, except that if you want him to testify, I think I need him as a witness instead of just as audio, and he can't be cross-examined. So even if
that's all right.
Pierce doesn't know how to make that objection, I'm making it for her.
Okay, no problem.
Sorry, sir. Sorry, ma'am.
Do you have any other questions for Ms. Pierce, Mr. Smith?
You know what? I'll let my case rest.
Okay, let me let you cross-examine Mr. Smith. Ms. Pierce, do you have any questions for him?
I do not, Your Honor. Except when can I see my daughter? I mean, Nevaeh misses her, Quentin.
What was the last thing you said? What was the last thing you said, Ms. Pierce?
Her sister Nevaeh misses her very much.
You
have hours of audio of you having sex, literally of proof of you having sex with a 14-year-old boy. He had just turned 14. He had just turned 14. Do you understand
talk to me, Ms. Okay, Mr. Smith, talk to me instead of telling her. Let me let you reply. What else did you need to testify to now that you've heard Ms. Pierce's testimony? Talk to me.
The boy was 13 and turned 14 in April. And there is a code 0723 that they kept on their phone and that he had used as his mom's security code at his mom's apartment, his biological mom's. And I have evidence of that too, that she gave me. And it is the date that they started having sexual relations is 0723. So otherwise, I feel like this is a fishing expedition. They're trying to see what else evidence there is to be presented, which there is a ton. There is a ton, but I'm letting my case rest.
So you tell me Damien's somewhere close by and he's 16 now and he's willing to testify?
Yeah, I mean, he's right next door, baby, if you want to go get him.
No, wait, hold on.
No, wait.
I would not put a 16-year-old on the record and on live stream. I'd want to talk to him in chambers if I bothered to talk to him at all. Ms. Pierce,
Ma'am, the first report that everybody needs to pay attention to is his real outcry to the school. When he cried to the school before Quentin put his hands on me that weekend, and it wasn't because I wasn't having sex with him. It was because his dick wouldn't get hard next door.
What?
I don't know why he needed me to have sex with him when he had somebody next door. That's what it was over. It was about nothing about me having sex with Damien.
That's what the whole deal was. She was having sex with my son, and I knew it. And she put him up.
Okay, I'm going to stop this. I'm not sure I want to hear any more because it's not going to be resolved with y'all.
Ma'am, when I was talking to my counselor, my therapist, she said that, I don't know the exact terminology, but Quentin had sex with his stepmom, his dad's wife, and that's known. I don't know if that's where he conjured it up with, or if he, I don't
know. That's a lie. I've never had sex with my own stepmother. That's ridiculous.
Yes, you did.
you never met my dad or my stepmom. Look,
no,
this is okay.
It gets better and better, doesn't it?
You have no idea, ma'am.
Well, that's the thing about having Zoom court. We could have been in person if I had to, and you could have dragged these witnesses in. I could have seen you and your demeanor, and you wouldn't have a boyfriend standing by directing you.
Actually, ma'am, has not said nothing except
I've heard a lot of crazy things here today. I don't know what I should believe and what I shouldn't believe, and they're coming from both y'all's mouths. But I do have that the child hasn't been with you by your own admission for at least over a year. And I have a CPS report that's supposed to be an official record, ma'am, that says there's reason to believe you sexually abused Damien. Now, I can't explain that. How did you got that? You didn't see it. We read it out loud to you. But how do I overcome that? That a CPS, Department of Family Protective Services, wrote a paper and put it in their handwriting or typed it out on their letterhead and send it out that there's reason to believe the allegation by that the victim was a child and you were the perpetrator.
Well, that's wrong because we need to pull the records, because whenever we got the first one, it said that the paperwork was, it did not say that. It said it was not enough evidence. It was not true. They would have already came and got me. CPS would be here. They would not have closed my case.
Okay, tell me when was the time was that you were using or abusing, that you weren't sober? When was that, ma'am?
I honestly, Quentin when did we get sober, Quentin? 2019?
No.
Your Honor, from
You should know this. You knew everything else. How come you don't know your date of sobriety? That's the one thing you learn in all those programs, your date of sobriety, because you count from that day forward. So,
no, because
and it sounded like you told me that recently, a year, you went off, but I'm not sure which one. And that's what I'm trying to get at. Recently, when were you not clean and sober?
Mr. Smith, there's no vaping in court.
Excuse me?
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. Fine. Answer my
sorry.
question, Ms. Pierce.
What'd you say, ma'am? Sorry.
It sounded like recently you fell off the wagon, and I was trying to figure out which year that was.
That was right when Jennifer and Quentin got together.
So what year was that?
2013, 2022.
And
Is
how
when
long were you under the influence or whatever, using, abusing?
And I'd never used in Pauline's house. I never used around my kids. Quentin and I never smoked meth around my kids. That's all bullshit.
I didn't ask that. I asked how long were you not clean and sober? Not where you.
2.5 months.
And what kind of actions have you taken to get your child back besides waiting for this court date?
What actions? I called the attorney general, the only thing I could do. Except I could open up another CPS case, and that seems,
Why didn't you?
Because the district attorney told me not to pray for patience, because it's all coming to a head and everything's going to be okay. Because
may I interrupt here? Did she just say my attorney?
No,
I
the
did not.
district attorney.
Oh, okay.
District
All right.
attorney.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I have reason to believe that my attorney has been illegally contacted, or out of ethics. Sorry.
I didn't hear anything about a private attorney. Okay. Well, let me ask you, Mr. Smith, you've taken Damien to counseling. Is there a counselor that you trust and respect and can take the child to and have the child visit about opening the door to visits with the mom, and under what conditions? And because,
I understand.
I'm not God and I'm not the counselor, and I'm not going to be able to fix you all because there's way too many problems here. That's on you. But I have to decide what I should do with this child, and you're both fighting for her. Well, great. That's your job. That's what you're supposed to do. But I've heard so much crap, and I don't know what to believe or not believe in. Mr. Smith, you have the credible crap. Ms. Pierce, you've been spouting right and left all sorts of stuff, and I haven't seen any proof. I can't even really see you in person today.
yes, ma'am, I understand that, but all of his proof is made up bullshit.
Well, that's easy to say. Now, can you prove it? He's not in jail. You're not in jail. CPS doesn't have a case open. What the hell? I don't know if all of it was true, somebody should be in jail, or both of you should be in jail. That child should be with grandma or somebody else, or in CPS custody. All I got is what you're saying, and some of it's good, some of it's not so good. But here we are pointing fingers at each other. He said, she said, and the credible evidence was the ones that actually testified in the pieces of paper I saw. Ms. Pierce, all that's come out of your mouth is, that ain't true, that's not right, it's this other way, and they're just telling lies all over the place. Well,
they are.
That's just your opinion. Where's any proof or any witnesses or any documents or anything?
I didn't know that this was that kind of court. I didn't know witnesses were supposed to be here, ma'am. I'm
kind
sorry.
of courts are there? There's courts where you need to prove your case, whether or not you have witnesses, and your evidence has been your testimony. That's all I've had. All it's been is contradictory, but no backup. Now, you're right. I can't do a final order, Ms. Code. So do you have any other witnesses, ma'am?
No, Your Honor.
And Mr. Smith, an abundance of caution on my part, you have a court date coming up on whatever pending stuff you've got?
Yes, Your Honor. And
When was it? October next month?
Yeah, October. That's still a pretrial date. Trial is set for February, but it's most likely going to be dropped before then.
Okay, that helps me, but you're going to pretrial like in the next couple of weeks before the end of the month?
Yeah. Yes, Your Honor.
The state have any other bright ideas, including dragging them down to district court with you and without me and see what other kind of evidence they bring and what a district judge who's less appealable than me would come up with?
No, Judge, I don't think this needs to go to district, mainly because I don't think either one will appeal. Sorry, Mr. Quinton and Ms. Pierce. I don't think that's something that's going to be on their plate anytime soon, given what Mr. Smith's going through and what may happen. But I think if anything, we could do temporary orders, Your Honor, and set up some Zoom visits. But I mean, I don't know, given that Miss Pierce's phone doesn't work. Allegedly,
getting
the
a
camera's
SIM
not
card and a
working.
new phone that should come momentarily. Those are pretty like overnight usually, but not enough time for court. But okay, that's what I heard.
I think
Okay.
I think electronic visits for now, Your Honor, would be appropriate and see if they can be kept up with, just given the fact that all these parties are very contentious right now. I think electronic visits for now would be appropriate. And that the grandmother can at least sit in the same room. That's not going to put anybody in harm's way. Or so I think electronic visits for now. See if either one of these parties cooperate. That if Mr. Smith or anyone in the home can keep up with the electronic visits, then that shows, that somebody's blocking, and then gives Miss Pierce a chance to at least do this on her own terms without somebody it hostile. I think that's what's best right now, given the whole situation, that this child should have electronic visits for now until we come back.
Yeah, I appreciate that, even though that's not even your job to recommend conservatorship or visitation. But and I obviously had thought of that. I'm just wondering the next level, because that's all I do. Then we're not advancing the ball. Now, Mr. Smith, I assume probably in your heart of hearts you want mom never to see this child again and blah blah blah. No. Okay.
Well, may I speak, Your Honor?
Yeah.
No. That's not the case at all. I just don't want her to see her unsupervised at first, and I and none of my family members are in a mental state or emotional state after everything to supervise with this woman. You know what I mean? So if she's going to have supervised visitations, then she needs to pay for those through counseling. That's all I'm saying. And I don't mind her having supervised visitations. Now, I that should come later, though. I want to see what happens with her case, because there is not only a sexual allegation, but there's criminal conspiracy cases coming and all kinds of stuff that she is involved in with 50 other people. So
you know how crazy that sounds? Persuade me on why I should believe it. That's not just totally off the wall. Well, I know you have a bulletin board with names on it, but I don't know what that means.
What's the police report number? So there's a police report that her kind of cohorts across the street. What's the most recent police report? That they have literally sabotaged every single vehicle that I have so that I could not get to work. I finally went and financed a 2017 Nissan Frontier in my mother's name. My mother actually did it. And that case number is Deputy A. Owen, and his badge number, it's in Comal County. His badge number is 418, and that's case number 2409522.
When you're talking about John, your friend, he won't even answer my calls when I call to ask if Nevaeh's alive. Like, that is the dude that worked with you.
Ma'am, I have affidavit after affidavit after affidavit proving out.
Well, they better all get ready to go to jail.
Mr. Stop for a minute. Like, what? It's a case you're bringing, or that you've alleged and the DA or somebody was prosecuting? What is it? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Or is it just a police report?
This one, the tampering with the vehicles, is both a police report that me and my mother filled out, right? And you can read that one if you'd like. It's available online. Do we have it?
Okay, well, no, I don't want to see that. But you allege something, and how did you send it to a prosecutor to do, or a police, or to do something with?
I called the cops and filled out a police report.
And have they done anything with it? Actually brought the case to a DA and they charged her, indicted somebody?
Not as of yet. Not as of yet. But there is much proof of it. And
you're thinking there's 50 people involved in somehow sabotaging your vehicles, and that
no. 50 people involved in a much kind of larger criminal conspiracy. She contacted everyone in my phone since 2021. Well, not everyone, but a large portion of people in my phone since 2021, and told them that I isolate her.
I didn't even tell my father. I didn't even tell my own father that I was with you, Quentin, because I was embarrassed.
I beat her, and that I hold her against her will. She told 3 people across the street the same story. Now, I have a neighbor that lives less than 20 yards away, and if I'm beating her and holding her against her will, but yet I'm gone 6 months in 2021, and I'm gone.
Wait. Is this a case you're facing now, and you're trying to turn around and get a criminal conspiracy out of it? I'm not following, because you're going to court pretty soon.
No. I can prove my innocence without a criminal conspiracy. That's not the point. The point is if someone is actually facing real abuse, right? And
I got the point, but I'm trying to figure out how you're turning that into what it is and where it goes and when and against who, and other than just saying there's a criminal conspiracy. I don't know what that means, sir.
Would you like to call Jennifer Freeman back? She can tell.
No, I want you to tell me. This is you that's telling me.
There's a man by the name of David Light, who is an ex-federal investigator, that Tracy Pierce was in contact with, and
I don't even know him.
David Light sent Jennifer Freeman. That's how I met Jennifer Freeman. He sent Jennifer Freeman, and this is not a joke. It sounds outlandish, but it is not. He sent Jennifer Freeman. There's audio witness testimony there. I would just like to let the rest of this play out in trial, because when this is all done, she has got a serious case on her hands.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. You're going to court. You think whatever's against you is going to be dropped. Now, how and when are you saying this thing against her is going to go, and how and where? That's the part I'm not following.
They are waiting to see what happens in trial, because they want to see all the evidence. They are not
trial. Your trial for something else, or
no, my trial. My trial, ma'am. I have it set for trial for February. And they will
whatever you're charged with, you think all the evidence you present on your defense is going to somehow lead to charges on her.
I have video evidence of the day Damien called the cops, and Grammy was right there. I was not hitting you. I never hit. No, that's bullshit.
Okay, stop. Because you know what? Some of this can be used against you. You have the right of not incriminating yourself. I don't know what's going where and who's alleging what. I'm going to just stop it. It's not going anywhere. But I think I get it. If you go to court and you say whatever you say and all the proof you have, you think something will result and she'll be taken to court. Is that what I'm hearing, Mr. Smith?
Yes, pretty much.
And you don't know how long it's going to take to play out, since they're still catching up with COVID cases, I think,
right.
A lot of the courts.
Yeah, this is my first trial date, February. And then my attorney told me that it will probably be set off for another 6 months to a year at least.
So it won't be over in February?
No. But
you haven't gotten any CPA's cases in the meantime, in the year that you've had the child, or over a year that you've had the child?
No, ma'am, not at all.
And you're not aware of any CPS cases, Ms. Pierce, that would have been opened on him as a result of him having the child without you for this past year and a half?
Grammy watches the kid, but no, I do not, ma'am. I refrained from calling them.
Well, you're not supposed to use public entities to retaliate in any way. You understand that? That's a crime. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
That's why.
That's
That's why-
fine. I've got what I need for right now, but I'm not sure it's the end of it. And I can't babysit this case for 6 years while y'all play out your drama in court for whatever the hell else y'all have got going on, which I'm sure I barely touched the tip of the iceberg. But Ms. Coates, you got your pen or pencil? You ready to write?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, it's going to be a temporary order. Ma'am, without having seen the child for over a year, I can't turn the child over to you just like that as much as you want me to under these conditions with all the stuff I've heard and all the actual proof I got. So this is a suit affecting the parent-child relationship that was hours ago. Is that what I remember?
Yes,
Ms.
ma'am.
Yes, Judge.
Coates?
I'm sorry, Your
Okay.
Honor.
Thank you for your time, and I'm sorry about my phone.
Well, you can
Not sorry,
apologize all
I
day. It just
apologize.
didn't help your case. That's all I'm telling you. It didn't help you. It
I
didn't
understand
probably
that.
hurt you, but okay. But there's more facts that were more important than the darn seeing you on Zoom. But
Yes, ma'am.
I was trying to make a point of that this is important enough where you should have a phone, you should have a device, maybe you should be in person. I'm going to send you there. If one of you gets a lawyer, you're gone to a district court and you're in front of a district judge because a lawyer can direct the traffic and get all the evidence they need, at least for one side, and the other one would be well advised to hire a lawyer as well. As long as you're pro se, you're stuck with me and I'm stuck with you. So here it goes.
I'm sorry, man.
I don't even mean to find it funny, guys. That's just the reality of it. That's my reality. That I
I'm
get
so
to
sorry.
I'm the judge. I get paid for it. I'll do my job every day, all day. But some
I'm
cases are a lot better than
absolutely
others. Yours kind of goes over the top here. But on the facts that I have heard today on a suit affecting the parent-child relationship, yes, dad's the father. There's no contest of that. There's a duty of support. Mom has a duty of support as well for a child she helped create or carried. Conservatorship. Based on what I heard at this point, I'm going to rebut the actual label of joint conservatorship. I'm going to appoint the father, the temporary managing conservator, the mother, the temporary possessory conservator. Now, one thing we didn't talk about, Mr. Smith, is that the law allows me to place a geographic restriction so that you're required to stay in the place you are, especially for temporary orders until the final trial and maybe beyond that, so that you don't pick up and move to Alaska and then I've lost you and she'll never see the child again. That's not allowed. So I'm going to put a geographic restriction on you and you're going to tell me that you weren't planning on moving, correct?
No, ma'am, I'm not going anywhere.
Okay.
Been here for 23 years.
So the time being geographic restriction. Darn, where am I today? Comal and contiguous counties. So if you have to move, you can move as close to the next county over that touches Comal, no further than any contiguous county. And if the child starts school, try not to be moving them around. Okay. So you have the right to determine the child's residence, that you have the right to primary conservatorship of the child. Now, mother's possession and access. Given what I've seen with a 4-year-old that hasn't seen you a year and a half, I need to go slow, not too slow, but not nothing. And he's already agreed to supervise visits somewhere, but nobody has a place or a location or a supervisor to give me. Is the state aware of any Comal County facilities? I just don't. Yeah, I have 6 counties. I don't keep up with them as far as facilities for supervised visits. So, Ms. Coates, have you run across any, or do you know of any?
Your Honor, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, Ms. Pierce, what?
There's no way Terry would do it. His brother.
I don't know who Carrie is. You just told me, Mr. Smith, your brother Carrie, will he supervise visits? You're muted. I can't hear you, sir.
I'm so sorry. No one in this family is willing to. I can't stress enough. These are not just allegations. This is a 14-year-old boy, and we're all pretty upset over here. I mean, that's it, and that's all.
So Carrie won't do, as far as you know, would not be willing to do it.
No.
Okay, well, I am going to do the electronic visits to start with. I will put in the order at reasonable times and reasonable duration, but although tell me now what you could think would work between you all to set up some kind of electronic visits. Would be FaceTime or some other social media or some other app, or what, Mr. Smith?
She can choose whatever app she would like, FaceTime or whatever.
What do you have available to you, Ms. Pierce, when you get your new phone? What app? Ms. Pierce, you're muted.
I'm so sorry. I don't know of any other apps besides FaceTime or Facebook Messenger. I don't do electronics, ma'am.
Well, FaceTime is good enough if you both have it. Do you have it too, Mr. Smith?
I don't, but we can do Facebook Messenger if you like.
I've only done messages on Facebook Messenger. They have a video component and.
Yeah, you can
Yes,
just
ma'am.
hit video while.
Oh, that's right. I never use it. That's right. Okay.
Because I don't know, does all phones come with FaceTime, or is it just the app you download?
FaceTime is only available for iPhones.
For Apple products. That's right. Do you have an Apple
Unless-
product, Ms. Pierce?
Absolutely not.
Well, no, it's Facebook. Can't you get? No, the FaceTime is Apple. Facebook is. No, it's
its own thing.
It is
Facebook has
Facebook. What is
Yes.
it? I'm thinking of when you have FaceTime and it's an Apple product, I think, then you can get on the chat function of it and then click video, but that's still Apple. Facebook Messenger is Facebook, right? Are you talking about something different?
Yes. No. It's Facebook Messenger is like an IM thing, and so anybody with any type of phone can access it.
But you have to have a Facebook account, and I assume you
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think my
And then-
son has an iPhone, and I thought he had a FaceTime or some kind of video chat you can do on an Android.
And Zoom's available for all phones and all technologies, so Zoom can also be used for anyone. And Ms. Pierce doesn't need an account; she just needs to put the Z. Mr. Smith can set up the Zoom visits.
I'll set them up and make sure that she has, I'll have someone deliver the number up there to her at the 7-Eleven, and that way she has the number constantly, and then we'll set up visitation times for whatever the judge thinks is appropriate.
Can I ask, Your Honor, can Nevaeh see Kaylee? Like not face to face, but over the visit too, because my 6-year-old is hurting.
Would you object to that, Mr. Smith? Because that might be a way to heal some wounds or get the child and your child involved if Nevaeh is part of the mom.
I don't object to that at all, but I can tell you this, all of this is going to be hard on Kaylee.
All of it's what?
All of this is going to be very hard on Kaylee.
Which is why, Your Honor,
but she's 4. She'll get over it, I hope, if y'all do your job. Now, if it
Yes,
all
ma'am.
goes further south and one of you's convicted of something or other, well, I can't help you there. But this is not a termination case. I'm not terminating her rights. But can we open the door to them? Well, minimally right now, and then see where we go. But can I prolong it for 3 or 6 or 7 months or a year or 3 or 4 years? No, I can't. So we start this, we get through this, we go forward, or something else happens to throw another monkey wrench at this, which we don't have enough. But
So sorry.
the part I need to figure out is how, reasonable times, reasonable duration. What do I think? Once a week for no more than 20 minutes during a certain time period. Or should it be 3 times a week or not every day? That's too unwieldy. But what would you recommend, Mr. Smith, at this point that you can do and you can for sure guarantee that that the child
Twice a week at 20 minutes. Twice a week at 20 minutes at first.
Why don't we start there, Miss Pierce?
That's fine.
Which days and what hours are, because I don't know people's work schedules and who's going to do this and blah, blah, blah. So you have to be there, Miss Pierce. What times are you off that you can tell me what 20 minutes you're available?
Anytime that he's available, I have the weekends off, and that's when my kids are here. So if we can do it then, that would, I think, break the ice, and it would really relieve some pain.
What if we do one work day and one weekend so that you break the ice on the weekend and you have alone time with her on the work weekday?
You are a mother, aren't you?
That's not my question. You don't get to ask questions. So tell me which day of the weekend would be the best for you, Saturday or Sunday?
Let's do Saturday.
And what time of the day that you're not at work?
I don't work on Saturdays, so anytime.
What would be your availability, Mr. Smith, on Saturdays?
5
For anybody to set it up?
5 o'clock in the afternoon.
So if I say between the hour of 5 and 5:30 to have at least 20 to maybe even the full 30 minutes?
Please.
Okay. That's Saturdays. And the second day of would be on a weekday. Which day would you be available, Ms. Pierce?
Any days. It doesn't matter, ma'am. I mean,
Well, somewhere in between Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so it's not back to back, but it's, she sees you every few days, so she gets to remember you. And
let's do hump day, Wednesday.
with Wednesdays. And when do you work on Wednesdays?
I work overnight, so yeah, let's do.
When are
5
you
o'clock.
awake on Wednesdays?
Excuse me?
When are you awake if you go overnight? Tuesdays to Wednesday or Wednesday to Thursday?
I go in at anywhere from 7 to 10, and I get off in the morning. So let's go with 5 to 5:30
On Wednesdays?
as well. Just make it simple.
Okay, and that would be consistent as you have somebody available, Mr. Smith, Wednesdays at 5 to 5:30?
Yes, I do.
Okay, let's say every Saturday and every Wednesday. And let's start on no, well, I don't care when it starts, but do you want it to start alone or with Nevaeh helping break it in? I'm trying to think of the child, but I don't know what's best. Y'all are the parents. What would your opinion, Miss Pierce?
Nevaeh has been talking about Kaylee a lot lately, so
And you have her on the weekends, but you don't have her on Wednesdays, or what?
I do have her on the weekend, yes, ma'am. Let's do Saturday.
And then Wednesdays would be your alone time?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you intending to bring all the other children?
They would probably like to see her and talk to her as well, but Nevaeh's younger and was side by side Kaylee. So like toys and stuff.
Let's start slow instead of bringing all three and Kaylee not
all
freaking
three
out, I hope, but start slow with Nevaeh and let's do that for a little bit before you bring anybody else.
We could, but that doesn't sound fair to Rylan or Gabby.
Well, I'm also thinking of what's fair to Kaylee, since I'm thinking it's going to be the puzzle piece that puts y'all back together somehow. That may be too much for her shoulders, but I assume if Kaylee remembers Nevaeh, she'll be willing to talk and stay on the whole time, and you're there too. So
he was pretty close with Rylan, so
I'm probably not going to see you this year. I'll probably set you into January. No, at least February after your potential trial date.
Judge.
What?
While we were talking, I managed to find a visitation center in San Antonio. So I don't know how far away that is from everyone, but there is a place in San Antonio. It's called Guardian House. They do supervised visits only if they are ordered by a judge, and the process takes a minute because both parents have to be contacted and they have to do an intake. So it could take a while, but there is a place that will.
Does it have a sliding scale, or does it have a set of cost fees?
It doesn't say yet, Your Honor. That's something that parties would need to talk to them about. But let me see. Hold on.
I'm not trying to interrupt. I don't have a car or a license. It's what I'm working on. And I literally moved right next to my work so I could quit relying on people to get me there. So I walk to work every day.
It's been a long day. It's been a long week. Remind me what town you live in, Mr. Smith?
So I live in Spring Branch, and she lives 15 miles away in Blanco. Look, during this time of kind of just easing it in, I'll find somebody in Blanco. I'll do the work for her. I'm not trying to keep her from seeing Kaylee.
Well, I would also suggest you take Kaylee to the counselor or another counselor and start talking about the issue of incorporating mother back in. Reunification, I think, is what the social workers call it, counselors call it. So, there's a whole science on that. I can't do it, but
I know,
if you attempt, maybe you'll get there. I mean, a lot of cases, I don't even think of that. It's just like, here you go. You're the parent. You need to see the child. Good luck.
Sorry to interrupt you. put our differences aside and think about our children, I don't see her having a problem, just like with Nevaeh Quentin. She was a little timid at first. She was stuck on my hip, but how quick did she open up?
I want to believe it's all gonna be walking into the sunset, but I never believe it till I see it, especially when it starts this contentious, and it's been this contentious till the last 1 minute. So yes, I'll take your offer, Mr. Smith. You can find a place you suggested. Anything y'all can agree on, do it. But if you've set it up, ma'am, you may have to pay some money, but it might be well worth it. Maybe they'll have a sliding scale at wherever places you go, and it might not cost so much. Maybe it will. So I'm not going to make any orders about who does what, other than Dad will attempt to find a supervised visitation facility.
I'll make it happen, ma'am. Your Honor, I'll make it happen.
In the area where mom can access and see visit. But mainly they're the, I don't know if they're going to need, if they need a court order. Well, no, you said they need a court order that have to order supervised visits. It has to be specific days and times, Ms. Coates, usually, or just.
Your Honor, all it says is that it needs to be ordered that they use that facility, and then they would work everything else out. So I'm assuming it's much like the one in Corpus, where they talk to each parent and find out what day and time is best for them at that time.
And then whatever you can afford is really what drives the visits more than whatever.
Yes, and so if each visit
fair.
I'm going to try to find somebody, even if I have to.
Well, the other thing
even if I have to pay for it, I'm going to try to find somebody in Blanco, because I realize that she does not have an automobile and that she is strapped for cash. I'm going to do what I can, but I do not want her to be seeing her children alone until this sexual allegation is determined. Because that
I get it. I don't think you have to say anything else. So if I order that mother will have supervised visitation at, I'll say the facility, San Antonio Guardian House, and put the address and phone number in there. And parties are obligated to participate, cooperate with the intake process.
But Your Honor, how will I
If
get
you
there?
find something else, y'all can do it by agreement. The whole thing starts with anything y'all can agree to is fine by me, because if you agree as parents, I think you're doing what's supposed to happen. If you don't agree, you're stuck with what I ordered.
Okay,
and then
so
you get to
can we
see
stick with, sorry to
Uh-huh.
interrupt you again, Your Honor, but can we
Go
stick
ahead.
with the visitation on camera or on Zoom or whatever it is?
Well,
And then if we
yes, no,
find-
this is in addition to that. I'm not taking that other away. This is to get started so she can at least see you. And then if y'all can find a facility, and you can do some homework too, ma'am. If you find something cheap and close by that works, y'all suggest to each other. God, I keep getting ahead of myself here. I'm trying to do one thing, I'm jumping to another. I finished the electronic communication. I gave you days and times. Y'all starting off with the Facebook. And then I'm moving to the supervised visits. I'm ordering supervised visits for mother.
Well,
Um,
Your Honor, I think we're going to go ahead and use Zoom instead of Facebook Messenger.
Well, okay, yeah, you can put Zoom in there or any other social media agreed to. I don't care. Or put
And
a
then,
phone.
do you want to order app close? I know Mr. Smith.
Yes,
does
I
not
am. I
wish-
was almost jumping to that till I wanted to clarify this before I keep moving on. Yes, ma'am. But I did want to
close.
say, if the facility or the supervisor needs to have something real specific, does once a week, once every other week for supervised visits, because it's going to cost. What would you think you could afford or want, Ms. Pierce versus Mr. Smith? Let me start with you, ma'am. Supervised visits, how often?
I have no idea how much they would cost. I don't know how much I can afford, so let's do once a week. I guess I have no idea. I don't know how much they could cost. The stuff could be really expensive. I have a lady that I did my
Okay, once a
outpatient
week, then they can figure out the date with you all's schedules, and then for like 2 hours, usually 2 hours, it probably adds up to a bunch of money. because you're paying supervisor to be there. Would
Yeah,
that,
and sorry to interrupt you. In Johnson City, there's the I can't remember what it's called right now, but there's a place that I'm gonna call and see if they'll help out.
It's called K-Star.
y'all can do additional. I beg you to do the additional. I'm trying to figure out what I'm putting in the order, because if y'all fail on doing whatever, she still needs some access. And this is what I'm trying to do for her with specifics, if y'all cannot work it out on your own. So 2 hours, once a week, and I'm gonna set it up for the guardian house, but if y'all can do that somewhere else, that's fine. It's just so that they can take you if you have nowhere else to go. And is it okay, Mr. Smith, if I put their cost to be borne by half by each party or not? Y'all split the cost or not?
Sure.
At least on a temporary basis. So you got some help there, man, but y'all need to talk about it so you don't break either's bank, but costs split by parties. And so that can transfer or apply to other people you find or hopefully can find.
Or if we can find someone who will do it for free. But
Correct.
it has to be a third party, like my family.
The other thing that would normally be there, and I guess we can keep it in there, Ms. Coates, for the order that besides what's specifically ordered, the party, the dad has the right to, well, mom has the right, trying to remember what the order says. What am I trying to say? The part about visits to mom supervised by any competent adult designated by dad, so that you still have the option to find somebody, but it has to be with your approval, Mr. Smith. It can't just be Ms. Pierce, whoever she decides, you got to approve it. So leave
I
that.
think we should both have to approve it because he has more ties that he knows here.
I'm glad you agreed to that. That's fine, but that'll be in there too. That dad can, that supervised visits will be supervised by any competent adult designated by dad. And I'm going to leave you out of it. You should not be the supervisor. Sure, I agree with you. So that's a backup provision. And if you find it for free, that's great. That's in there anyway. Okay. So we got the electronic visits. We got the supervised visits at a facility or no less than San Antonio Guardian House if y'all can't find something else. And we've got the competent adult designated by dad provision, which should be free. Okay. Then the communication, I don't know if y'all haven't talked. I'm just going to put it in there that y'all use a tool called App Close. It's an app that you can download. They'll have directions for all that, so you can communicate that way. So you put it all in writing, and if y'all are ugly to each other, it stays in there. You can't delete it, and you can even get a report later if it's necessary for court. And I don't want you coming in with screenshots of your phones being blown up with each other's ugly text. So use the App Close for communication. That seems to be working. I have positive reports from a lot of people about it. Okay. Non-disclosure, Ms. Coates, was that even an issue?
I think it was, Your Honor.
But do y'all know each other's phone numbers or email addresses, and do you want that to be excluded from the non-disclosure? Mr. Smith, starting with you, does she have your email and your phone number or not? Oh, you're muted. I can't hear you.
She has my phone number.
What about your email address?
Yeah, I'll give it again, open court. I don't mind.
No, don't give it an open court, but you don't mind if the state has it and they publish it in the order, so she has both as part of the court order?
Yes.
Okay, what about you, Ms. Pierce? Do you have an email and a phone number you're willing to let Mr. Smith have?
Yes, he knows my phone number and he knows my email. The only question I have is, do you want me to call Jennifer's number or do you want me to call the 830-212?
I hope y'all don't call each other for anything other than a strict emergency and they use the App Close for communication or even...
I would prefer that she call Jennifer's number because...
And that's the number the AG can post, but you're going to have to give it to them so that that's the number they can put on the order. Okay, but not right now. Okay. Yeah, it sounds like you get along better with Jennifer than with Mr. Smith. I'll just say that as an observation. Okay, there's a non-disclosure finding, which means that because of the problems between you all have risen to the level that I think it's necessary that the state won't publish and you're not, you don't have to disclose your home addresses, your work addresses, those kinds of things, with the exception of the emails and the phone numbers for contact. And most contact will be through the app posts anyway. Okay, I need to get to financial issues. Votes, and I'm not sure I heard enough testimony, so tell me what you thought you crafted along the way. Or did you?
Sorry, Judge. I'm getting a little lightheaded.
It's way past lunchtime for both of us. Okay.
So $30 for the medical. Your Honor, it depends on what you want to set child support based on the 32 hours or the 28 hours. If you base it on 28 hours, that's $227 for child support. If you base it on 32, it's $258.
There's no way I can afford that.
Tell me what you can afford.
May
You
I
might as
speak?
well put me in jail now.
May I speak?
Yes, sir, Mr. Smith, if only if it's helpful. What?
It's helpful. The $30 plus $30 extra is fine with me.
Well, you're not going to complain about that, Ms. Pierce, are you? $30 for the Medicaid that the child's got the government program insurance? And
He's still on my Medicaid, but no, I do not have a problem with that.
well, then you should probably stop because, well, I don't know if it matters, but now the child's under Mr. Smith's name.
I don't think
Correct,
so
Medicaid
because
program?
she went to her last checkup under my name and everything.
Is that true, Mr. Smith?
No, it's been changed.
You applied with
She's had
your
shots.
name for this child?
No, that's not true. She's had shots. It's under my name now. She's had shots. She's got an
Okay.
updated shot record.
It is the government program, the Medicaid, whatever it is for the
It's
child
under
under your
yes, ma'am.
account.
Yes.
Well, it might be that you have an account, but it's not being used, ma'am. I don't know what they do with those, but if he,
Well, when I went to go see Dr. Weaver, I asked about Kaylee, and the lady gave me the paperwork stating that her mother took her to her last appointment, and I know I did not. And I don't have a problem with Jennifer going up there with her. I'm not saying that. I kind of did, but I don't. I just need to know if...
well, this is going to say that dad is required to obtain or maintain the government program. So if you don't have it, it needs to be under your name because you're the one with custody. I don't want mom getting zapped with fraud for y'all using it under her name.
We'll double check, but we'll double check, Your Honor, but I'm positive. Jennifer, did we not? Yeah, we took her to get shots and under my name. The
Well,
Medicaid.
okay, you have a card, it should have your names on it, or you ask if you have to, but $30 for the Medicaid program, dad's gonna maintain or obtain that program, and child support, you can do $30. Is that what I heard you, Mr. Smith, say? $30 a month?
$30.
You can do $30, Ms. Pierce.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you got $60 a month that you're obligated for starting November 1st. I'm not going to deal with the issue of retroactive. I'm going to punt for another day. I don't want to fight about it unless, Mr. Smith, you're willing to give up any back pay, or are you? You want to talk about it on another day?
I'd rather just talk about that on another day.
Okay, that's reserved. And then the last thing, I think, would be a reset date. We already talked about possible February being a trial, but probably not.
Did we decide how long the communications were going to last before we moved on to in-person?
No, because I think electronic communication could last throughout. Except
on top of
starting with
in-person?
Mavia, you mean?
No, I just meant like, are we going to do a certain amount of months before we move on, or is it simultaneous with the in-person?
No, it's simultaneous with the in-person.
Okay. That's what I just wanted
It's
to
going
make
to take
sure
a
of.
while to do in person, so I'm pretty sure the electronic communication will happen much quicker. So does it matter, Mr. Smith, that Navaya or the other kids show up on the Saturday visits?
Your Honor, I'm really not trying to keep her from having visits, but is there any way we can just start this on Wednesday? Saturday is tomorrow, right? Like,
Well, I was actually going to
Okay, you don't even have a court order in hand, so yes, that might be a wise idea, but
yeah, just Wednesday and then the next Saturday, and that's fine. I don't care. As long as there's no, like As long as it's just the kids and her, of course. I don't care if Nevaeh, I mean, they're
Okay, so
siblings.
that means on Wednesday, she won't have the kids, so it'll be just her and Kaylee alone for the first time. That's what you're asking for?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be better for them to get reacquainted.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking possible, but somebody threw Nevaeh in there, so I thought that might work too. So I'm not gonna put any children in there. You all do what you want. Or ma'am, if they're not with you on Wednesday and you start this Wednesday, well, so be it. And on weekends, if you want to involve them or one or the other, that's fine too. I'm just not gonna put any restrictions on the other children. You're not gonna be bringing the boyfriend or somebody else with all the
No,
little time you have, Miss Pierce, are you?
absolutely not.
Okay, well then I don't have to deal with that. So the electronic communication can start. You don't need an order for that. I don't think. Just set it up and tell each other what you're doing. And I already gave you the time. Saturdays 5 to 5:30, Wednesdays 5 to 5:30. So let's start the electronic communication. Oh, today's the 11th on October 16th.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then everything else, whenever you can get it set up, because I don't expect that it's going to be tomorrow anyhow. And you probably should wait till you at least have a court order to take somewhere to show them that supervised visits have been authorized. Unless you find somebody who can do it for free and you want to start sooner, Mr. Smith, I'd wait till you have a copy in hand of the court order with my signature on it in case you have any problems. Okay, I'm not done. I need a reset date. Did you tell me a date in February when you are possibly going to trial, but not really because it's going to be reset again? Is it early or late? I forgot what you said, Mr. Smith. You're muted. I don't know if you can see that little red mic.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I was talking to Jennifer, so I muted you. Can we do like mid to late February?
I can go early March just to get through February, see what happens with
Okay.
any progress on your case.
All right.
I don't think that would matter a whole lot. My first availability in March would be Friday, March 7th, the first Friday in March.
Okay. I'll write that down.
Friday.
March 7th, 2025. Let's put this at 8:30 so we can start earlier instead of later if it has to go. And I hope not to have this long of a hearing again. I don't think that's necessary. What I want to do is see updates and see if we can tweak this and make it. My goal is to let her see the child if at all possible, but if we can expand hours or do more times or see what's working, see what's not working and tweak it, that's what I'm for. That's what I'm here for. But if y'all tweak it for me, you can do that and bring it in as an agreement. I would love that, but
I could probably do that for you, Your Honor.
if it's still a custody dispute,
Take some time.
Miss Pierce, if you still want,
It's a serious thing that's going on here.
if you still want full custody of the child, I need to see some progress between both of you on whatever charges are out there or hanging over your head or whatever. And I might even want an in-person date. May not want to do this on Zoom again, but I'm not deciding that right now. The March 7th one will be Zoom. And you may be stuck with me for a while. I have been known to keep these cases for however long it takes, but probably no more than 9 to 12 months because I'm not meant to babysit you for life or babysit your child and her.
Completely
What
agree.
happened with her
Thank
till
you,
she's
Your
18? Huh?
Honor. I said I completely agree and thank you for your time, Your Honor.
Well, and get a phone, get a device. If we're going to be on Zoom, you know how I feel about it. Now I want to see you.
I know I want to see you too. I was thinking maybe we could have in person on the 7th. I'm just kidding.
No, not on the 7th. I need updates on the 7th. I'll see if we can get anywhere after that. And if necessary, a Zoom, in person. Any questions, Mr. Smith?
No, ma'am, Your Honor.
I think you wrapped up, Ms. Pierce. Nothing else?
No, but you did say that if Kaylee wanted to call me extra, she can. Not that I will call her any other times beside my scheduled times, but she can call me whenever.
Kaylee's going to do it, but if Mr. Smith wants to allow it and it's going swimmingly and y'all reach out and you ask and he says yes or he offers, yes, you can do any of that.
Okay, I just
Y'all
didn't want to
don't
go
talk
against
and
the
it
order.
stays this contentious, then this is all you get probably. So it's in your interest to make it go smoothly, ma'am, and try to get more if you can. And it seems like Mr. Smith might be amenable, but I'm not going to make him promise anything right now. Just see how this goes. Okay. Then that'll be the order. I'm rendering the order, temporary order with a reset. You're on notice for March 7th, 2025 at 8:30 by Zoom, same Zoom ID. If you don't show up on that day, you could be defaulted. This is your legal notice. However, the state will follow it up with a proposed order that has that date on it and by reminders later on. I think they send them reminders a couple of weeks before court. But it's your job to mark the calendar and show up on the right day and time. And if you don't, you could be defaulted. The state's going to draft this order. They're going to send it by email to your email addresses coming from the Texas Office of the Attorney General. Anything coming from there is this order. Consider it priority homework. Open it up, review it, try to sign it if you at all can. You should. I get it quicker that way. I'll be reviewing it for accuracy as well. But if you see something that's wrong or you need to correct spellings, dates, those kinds of things, call the state and work it out. If they don't hear from you, you don't sign it, I'm going to ask for the state to submit this order next Friday, a week from today, and I'll sign it without you. So it goes faster. You have it in hand and we get it in the file. So if you want to sign it, spend the time looking at it and doing it and getting it into me. If not, I'll sign it without you a week from today. So thank you, folks. That'll conclude this hearing. And for the record, it is now 3 hours, 16 minutes, and 8 seconds. Bye. All you have to do is click the leave meeting buttons and you're done, and good luck to y'all.